Chapter 832. Taoist Zishan. This Li Changsheng is too arrogant. He actually killed Yang Yi so casually. That was your favorite disciple. An elder had already walked to Taoist Zishan's side and whispered. This time, it was indeed Yang Ye's fault. Don't mention it again. Taoist Zishan sighed. Her entire person seemed to have aged a lot. How could she not be angry about Yang Ye's death? But when she thought of Li Changsheng's methods, she lost her temper. Not to mention it was her own disciple who was in the wrong. Everyone disperse. After Taoist Zishan and the elders left, the kneeling disciples finally dared to stand up, especially the 9 direct disciples. Each of them still had lingering fear. A genius like Yang Yi had died, just like that. This could be considered as a good lesson for them. In the future, don't provoke this guest elderly. He dared to kill in front of the sect master. Is there anything he doesn't dare to do? The same thought appeared in their minds at the same time. This battle had completely established Li Changsheng's prestige in the Cloud Dynasty sect. In the following days, Li Changsheng cultivated in seclusion in the valley. Chunlinger would occasionally visit Li Changsheng, and whenever she had problems with her cultivation, Li Changsheng would always be able to solve them. 3 months later, Chunlinger's strength had increased by leaps and bounds, becoming a direct disciple, standing out among the younger generation. Li Changsheng had also finally solidified his foundation and was preparing to face his lightning tribulation. On this day, Taoist Zishan suddenly came to visit. Mr. Li, I'm really sorry for disturbing your cultivation. Is there something you need from me? Taoist Zishan? In the past few days, Taoist Zishan hadn't come to disturb Li Changsheng. Now that she suddenly came, Li Changsheng knew there must be something. Sure enough, Taoist Zishan pondered for a few seconds and said, It's like this. Recently, a country under our Cloud Dynasty sect's rule had a war with another country. The other party had found a strong expert to help them. Our Cloud Dynasty sect had sent a few direct disciples, but they still couldn't change the situation, so I have to personally go down the mountain to resolve this matter. But once I leave, there will be no one to oversee the Cloud Dynasty sect. I hope Mr. can help take care of the sect. Zishan will be grateful. So it's this matter. Li Changsheng nodded. What he meant by keeping watch was that he was not allowed to leave the Cloud Dynasty sect while Reverend Zishan was away. It was no different from usual. In any case, Li Changsheng was about to transcend the tribulation and would not leave this place for a year and a half. This was just a small matter, so he naturally would not refuse. Thank you, sir. Taoist Zishan clasped her hands towards Li Changsheng and left. Soon, Li Changsheng saw a few silhouettes disappearing from the sky. He knew that Taoist Zishan and the others had left. These cultivation sects were all worshipped by the countries under them, so they naturally had to shoulder the responsibility of protecting their countries. For example, they could summon clouds and rain in a timely manner, as well as lend a helping hand when the country was in danger. After Taoist Zishan left, Li Changsheng once again entered cultivation. In the past few days, the mountain and river ruler had almost been completely refined by him. It was indeed a treasure, and a top-grade one at that. It was not far from leveling up. On the 3rd day after Taoist Master Zishan left, Chunling ran in frantically. At this moment, Li Changsheng was in seclusion. Where is Sir Li? Chunling looked at Bai Chuan. Honored guest Li is in seclusion. He said that no one is allowed to disturb him. It seems that he is about to transcend the earth immortal tribulation and is preparing with all his might. Chunling sighed and said, What should we do? What's wrong? Bai Chuan asked. Enemies are coming from the front. Our senior brothers can't hold them off for much longer. In front of the Grand Hall of Cloud Dynasty sect, several people shrouded in black robes rushed in. Cloud Dynasty sect's disciples were either dead or injured. Your ancient devil sect is really despicable. You actually dared to launch a sneak attack while our sect master is not here. After Yang Ye's death, Jiang Yuan, who was promoted to the head disciple, glared at the leader of the black-robed people. Your Cloud Dynasty sect and my ancient devil sect have been opposing each other for so many years. This time, our sect master finally came up with a plan to lure the tiger away from the mountain. Now that your sect master is not here, we will flatten your Cloud Dynasty sect today. Black Robe, for what you have done today, when our sect master returns, he will definitely kill his way to your ancient devil sect and make you pay a heavy price. Jiang Yuan said loudly. Huh, old Zishan, we have already sent someone to deal with him. Do you think he can still return to Cloud Dynasty sect alive? Hearing the other party's words, Jiang Yuan's face instantly turned pale. The other party came prepared. Is Cloud Dynasty sect going to be destroyed in their hands today? That's right. Before our sect master left, he told us to find guest elderly if we need anything. Jiang Yuan suddenly thought of something. Because Li Changsheng was not a member of Cloud Dynasty sect, Jiang Yuan did not think of Li Changsheng. Quickly go and invite guest elderly. Jiang Yuan shouted to his junior brothers behind him. Junior sister Chunling has already gone to invite him, but she heard that guest elderly is in seclusion, so she did not dare to disturb him. Bullshit. At this time, my Cloud Dynasty sect is about to be destroyed. How can I care about this? The leader of the black-robed people sneered. What guest elder? Zishan Daoist and the two grand elders are not here. Even if the heavenly emperor came, it would be useless. At this moment, the black-robed people were constantly approaching. Cloud Dynasty sect's people had already retreated to the front of the main hall. Many of the weaker disciples were trembling in fear. These black-robed people were too terrifying. Jiang Yuan wiped the cold sweat on his head. Guest elderly is not a coward and does not dare to come out, right? Sure enough, he is not a member of Cloud Dynasty sect. We can't count on him. Yes, if he doesn't come out, our Cloud Dynasty sect will be destroyed. At this time, Chunling finally could not help but want to knock on the door. But she saw the door open and Li Changsheng in a green robe walked out. Chunling felt that Li Changsheng seemed to be a little different from the Li Changsheng she saw before. But what was different, she could not tell at the moment. Ling, why are you looking for me? Li Changsheng asked. The people of Ancient Devil Sect came to attack Cloud Dynasty Sect. Senior brother can't hold them off. I came to ask Mr. Li for help. Chunling face was anxious. Okay, take me to see. Li Changsheng went out of the valley and walked towards the main hall. Along the way, there were broken bodies and traces of battle. At the entrance of the main hall, Cloud Dynasty Sect disciples suffered heavy casualties, but the black-robed leader let out a burst of arrogant laughter. What Cloud Dynasty Sect? Today I will erase your name from Tian Capital Star. The black-robed leader held a sword with blood flowing on it. Stop! Li Changsheng saw this scene and immediately frowned. He had promised Daoist Zishan that he would help Cloud Dynasty Sect, but he did not expect such a big thing to happen. Who are you? The black-robed leader heard the voice and turned his head. After seeing Li Changsheng, his face first showed vigilance and then a sneer. In his senses, Li Changsheng was not even as good as the core disciples, so he was relieved. This is Cloud Dynasty Sect's guest elder, Li Changsheng, Mr. Li. When Jiang Yuan saw Li Changsheng appear, he let out a long sigh of relief. If Li Changsheng did not come out, they would not be able to stop them. Him? Guest elder? The black-robed leader could not help but laugh and shake his head. Boy, hurry up and go back to where you came from. Don't be buried here with Cloud Dynasty Sect. Indeed, there were high and low guest elders in a sect. Powerful guest elders could sit on the same level as the sect master, and some could be treated as guest elders based on their contributions to the sect. However, those guest elders were weak and had a lower status. In his eyes, Li Changsheng was the latter. Before Daoist Zishan left, she asked me to protect Cloud Dynasty Sect. You people just had to invade at this time and killed so many people. Today, no one can leave. Li Changsheng's voice was cold. Although he did not have much sense of belonging to Cloud Dynasty Sect, a gentleman's promise was worth 1,000 gold. Since he had promised Daoist Zishan, he had to fulfill it. Otherwise, he would be breaking his promise, so he was very unhappy. Chapter 833. Are you joking? With your strength, you want to keep me here? The black-robed leader clenched the sword in his hand. I'll send you on your way first, then I'll kill everyone else in the Cloud Dynasty sect. The leader suddenly slashed his sword at Li Changxing's head. His black-robed men behind him also laughed sinisterly. But in the next second, Li Changxing suddenly raised his hand and punched out, shattering the sword light. Then, under the horrified expression of the black-robed leader, his body was directly hit and turned into a pile of blood mist. His men behind him were all dumbfounded. The people of the Cloud Dynasty sect were stunned for a few seconds and then cheered. The black-robed leader had just led a group of subordinates to the Cloud Dynasty sect and was invincible. No one could stop them, but they didn't expect to be killed by Li Changxing with a casual move. Li Changxing didn't waste any time. He directly charged into the enemy's camp. Wherever he passed, he destroyed everything in his path. Soon, a large number of the enemy fell. These people should have accomplices at the foot of the mountain. I'll go and take care of them. Li Changxing released his divine sense and immediately sensed a powerful vitality at the foot of the mountain. Li Changxing took a step forward and almost instantly vanished from his original spot. Like a large bird, he flew into the air and rushed down the mountain. Jiang Yuan and the other true disciples could only stay to clean up the mess. In an open space at the foot of the mountain, several people in black robes were standing quietly. One of them had a flame pattern embroidered on his black robe. It was obvious that he had a high status. Protector Lu has been on the mountain for half an hour. The Cloud Dynasty sect has no leader, so there is absolutely no one who can stop him. At this moment, the Cloud Dynasty sect should be flattened. We should go up and see. The man with the flame pattern embroidered on his robe said lightly. Protector Lu is right. The black-robed men behind him nodded. At this moment, a figure suddenly fell from the sky and landed in front of them. They immediately showed vigilance. Who are you? The protector of the ancient devil sect looked at Li Changxing and asked, Someone who wants your life. Li Changxing smiled coldly. You dare to come to the Cloud Dynasty sect and behave atrociously. You really don't want to walk the path to heaven, but instead, you want to break into the gates of hell. Hearing Li Changxing's words, the protector couldn't help becoming angry. Then he laughed. So you are from the Cloud Dynasty sect. You were able to escape from Lu Hufa's hands, but instead of running away, you came here. How stupid. With that, the law protector gave a meaningful glance to the person next to him. Immediately, one of his subordinates pulled out his scimitar and rushed towards Li Changxing. However, just as he approached, Li Changxing waved his hand. Pa! After smashing the head into pieces, a headless corpse slowly fell to the ground. At this moment, even the protector had a bewildered expression on his face. Looks like he's an expert. No wonder he could escape from the mountain. He slowly pulled out the sword in his hand. However, in the next second, Li Changxing turned into an afterimage and instantly appeared in front of him. Then he punched him in the chest and sent him flying. Before his body landed on the ground, he exploded into a cloud of blood mist. When his subordinates saw this scene, they were all dumbfounded. Their faces were filled with fear. Li Changxing's attack was too fast and too terrifying. They didn't even have time to react. Continue to come up and accept your death. Li Changxing glanced at the remaining black-robed people. These people turned around and fled in all directions. Li Changxing's strength had already made them terrified. Want to run? It's not that easy. Li Changxing sneered and stomped his foot on the ground. Suddenly, merciless ripples spread out in all directions. People who had been running for their lives were sent flying and then exploded in the air one by one. All dead. After killing them, Li Changxing turned around and returned to the Cloud Dynasty sect. At this time, under Jiang Yuan's command, the injured people had been brought for treatment and the dead people were covered with white cloth. Seeing Li Changxing return, Jiang Yuan and the others hurriedly came up and bowed. Greetings, guest elderly. Before Daoist Ishan left, she asked me to take care of the Cloud Dynasty sect. However, I let the Cloud Dynasty sect suffer such heavy losses. This is my fault. Tell me, where is the headquarters of the ancient devil sect? I'll go and destroy the ancient devil sect to avenge the dead disciples. Guest elderly is in seclusion. The ancient devil sect suddenly attacked. This can't be blamed on you, Jiang Yuan hurriedly said. Moreover, the ancient devil sect is a second-grade sect with many powerful experts. Guest elderly shouldn't take the risk. Although Li Changxing's strength was very formidable, wanting to flatten the sect, this was truly somewhat unrealistic in Jiang Yuan's view. Don't worry. This is not something you should worry about. Tell me the location of the ancient devil sect's headquarters. I, Li Changsheng, am a man of my words. Feeling the powerful aura rising from Li Changsheng, Jiang Yuan couldn't help but feel his heart palpitate and quickly lowered his head. Okay. He walked into the main hall and took out a map. He opened it and pointed at a location. This is the headquarters of the ancient devil sect, Black Fiend Mountain. This mountain occupies an earth fiend vein. The ancient devil sect has been operating here for many years and has set up countless formations to communicate with the Black Fiend underground. Although it is only a second-grade sect, even third-grade sects wouldn't dare to attack their mountain gate. Jiang Yuan said this to persuade Li Changsheng. However, Li Changsheng didn't seem to understand the hidden meaning in his words. He nodded and put away the map, then took a step and disappeared in front of Jiang Yuan. Senior brother Jiang, will guest elderly be in danger? Chen Linger asked worriedly. I don't know. Guest elderly is powerful. Even sect leader Zishan is no match for him. However, the ancient devil sect is a terrifying place. It is said that there are many experts of the Finger Profound realm. As far as I know, guest elderly hasn't reached the Earth celestial stage. I'm afraid he will die if he goes to their headquarters. Mr. Li is willing to risk his life for a promise to the sect leader. It seems that I have misunderstood guest elderly before. Hearing Jiang Yuan's words, not only Qinlinger, but also many disciples around were moved. Guest elderly is really a man of affection and righteousness. He is worthy of admiration. By the way, the black-robed leader of the ancient devil sect said that they will send people to deal with the sect leader. We must inform the sect leader to take precautions in advance. The ancient devil sect is a demon sect and is notorious for its fierceness. Immediately go to other sects to ask for help. If the sect leader has an accident, our Cloud Dynasty sect will be destroyed. Jiang Yuan was a man who could see the big picture and immediately made a decision. Under his command, the people of the Cloud Dynasty sect immediately got busy. Some went to other sects to ask for help, some went to support the sect leader Zishan, and some stayed in the sect to prevent the ancient devil sect from launching a sneak attack. It could be said that everything was arranged in an orderly manner. At this time, Li Changsheng had already left the mountain and was heading towards the ancient devil sect. There is still a long distance between the ancient devil sect and the Cloud Dynasty sect. Li Changsheng flew for half an hour before he saw a tall mountain in the distance. It was pitch black and was surrounded by black chi, giving people a gloomy and terrifying feeling. Li Changsheng landed at the foot of the mountain and heard the sound of fighting in front of him. A beautiful woman in white was besieged by a group of black-robed men. There were many wounds on the woman's body. It was obvious that she was at the end of her rope. Chapter 834. After Li Changxing appeared, she ran towards Li Changxing's direction. When she saw Li Changsheng, her face was filled with joy, but it quickly turned into despair. She couldn't tell how high Li Changxing's cultivation was from his aura. At the same time, the black-robed men also noticed Li Changsheng. Without saying a word, one of them directly slashed at Li Changsheng. Li Changsheng was about to make a move, but the woman had already blocked Li Changsheng with her sword. She anxiously said to Li Changsheng, "Run." They're disciples of the ancient devil sect, who knew that after hearing the woman's words, Li Changsheng just stood there indifferently. "Miss, since you are so kind, let me help you deal with these reckless guys." Hearing Li Changxing's words, the woman was stunned. She then shook her head and said, "This is a group of Xiantian experts. I can't see any cultivation from your body. How can you help me deal with them? I hate guys like you who don't have any strength, but still want to be the hero to save the beauty." The woman's face was filled with disdain. Because of her beauty, many people always wanted to show off in front of her. Normally, it would be fine But at this time, the people of the ancient devil sect were ruthless. Run! After saying that, she grabbed Li Chongqing's shoulder and was about to forcefully take Li Chongqing away. After all, she was a kind person and couldn't bear to see Li Chongqing die in the hands of the ancient devil sect's disciples, who knew that Li Chongqing's feet were like roots, and she couldn't grab him. At this time, the people of the ancient devil sect had completely surrounded them. It's over. The woman's face was filled with annoyance. She stared at Li Chongqing angrily and said, "It's all your fault. I told you to run, but you didn't. Now no one can leave." At this time, a pale old man walked out from the ancient devil sect's camp. "Brat, you didn't run after hearing the name of the ancient devil sect. You should be from the secular world and not a cultivator, right? You still want to come out and save the damsel in distress? You really don't know what death is. I'm from the Cloud Dynasty sect. I'm here to cause trouble for your ancient devil sect," Li Chongqing said calmly. The woman beside him was surprised. "You're a fellow Taoist from the Cloud Dynasty sect? Could it be that even Cloud Dynasty sect was attacked by the ancient devil sect?" Hearing this, Li Chongqing knew that the ancient devil sect was not only attacking the Cloud Dynasty sect. Protector Lu brought people to the Cloud Dynasty sect. Unexpectedly, there was a fish that escaped the net. This guy escaped with his life with great difficulty and dared to come to the ancient devil sect. He is as stupid as this woman. Hearing the other party's words, a hint of anger appeared on the woman's face. It was because her sect's senior died in the hands of the ancient devil sect. In order to avenge her sect's senior, she ran to the foot of the ancient devil sect's mountain and wanted to ambush a few disciples of the ancient devil sect. Unexpectedly, she encountered an elder of the ancient devil sect and almost lost her life. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but look at Li Chongqing with more gentleness. Although Li Chongqing's actions were obviously very stupid, but in order to avenge the death of his sect's elders, he was willing to disregard his own safety. Wasn't he the same kind of person as himself? Unexpectedly, there was a feeling of mutual appreciation. "I'm not a fish that escaped the net. Your protector, Lu, has already been killed by me," Li Chongqing said indifferently. Unexpectedly, the old man couldn't help but laugh. "Haha, brat, who are you trying to fool? Protector Lu's cultivation has already reached the peak of the Vajra realm. How can you kill him? You're just trying to scare me with these words and take the opportunity to escape, right? Brat, this old man has walked the path more than you have eaten salt. How can I not see through your scheme?" As he spoke, he gave a look to the people beside him. "Kill these two people." Immediately, a few black-robed men rushed over with their swords. That woman in white was about to make a move, but she was pulled behind by Li Chongqing and blocked in front of him. That woman's eyes instantly revealed some emotions. Usually, there were many men who acted in front of her. However, there was only one man who was willing to block in front of her, like Li Chongqing. Could it be that he fell in love with me after seeing me once? Otherwise, why would he die for me? The woman in white had mixed feelings. In the next moment, a treasured sword had already slashed at Li Chongqing's head. Li Chongqing directly reached out to grab the treasured sword. The woman in white couldn't bear to see it and turned her head to the side. She could imagine the scene of flesh and blood splattering in the next second if he used his body to block the treasured sword. The old man and the other black-robed men all sneered. They felt that this silly boy was really reckless. However, in the next second, everyone's eyes widened, because when the treasured sword slashed at Li Chongqing's palm, the scene of the palm being cut off did not appear as expected. Instead, a sound of metal clashing rang out. That treasured sword was actually held by Li Chongqing's hand. In the next second, they saw him use all his strength to break that sharp treasured sword into two pieces. The blade that was held in his hand directly stabbed out and instantly pierced through the chest of a black-robed man. Immediately after, the other black-robed men who had just rushed over were all swept away by Li Chongqing's leg as he turned around and swept out. He is actually so powerful. Yuan Chushue's eyes widened. The old man finally realized that something was amiss. "You have been hiding your strength all this time. Li Changsheng did not answer him. Instead, his body turned into an afterimage as he rushed into the crowd. Soon, the group of black-robed men all fell to the ground, leaving only the old man. At this moment, the old man finally panicked. His hand that was holding the sword began to tremble slightly because the strength that Li Changsheng showed when he defeated his subordinates was too terrifying. That, friend, behind us is the headquarters of our ancient devil sect. If you don't want to die, quickly leave. Otherwise, before he finished speaking, Li Changsheng had already rushed in front of him. With a slap, the old man was directly sent flying and fell into the open space behind them. His body struggled a few times before losing all signs of life. Witnessing all this, Yuan Chushue was completely dumbfounded. At the same time, she realized that she seemed to have thought too much. May I ask what your name is? I have heard about the disciples of the Cloud Dynasty sect. Could it be that you are the chief true disciple of the Cloud Dynasty sect, Yang Yi? In Yuan Chushue's opinion, in the entire Cloud Dynasty sect, apart from the sect master, grand elders, and several other elders, the only one who could have such strength was the chief of the true disciples, Yang Yi. Although she had never seen the real person, she had heard of Yang Yi's name a lot. No, Li Changsheng shook his head. Yang Yi offended me, so I killed him with a slap. I am the guest elder of the Cloud Dynasty sect, Li Changsheng. Is that so? Yuan Chushue did not believe Li Changsheng's words at all. She thought that Li Changsheng was hiding his identity. He is obviously Yang Yi, but he deliberately said that he was called Li Changsheng. But since he is not willing to reveal his identity, there is no need for me to expose him. Yuan Chushue immediately smiled and said, My name is Yuan Chushue. I am a true disciple of the White Robe sect. Nice to meet you. After that, she continued, let's quickly escape. Killing an elder of the ancient devil sect right under their nose will alert the experts of the ancient devil sect. It's better to leave as soon as possible. Just as she finished speaking, she saw that Li Changsheng was standing there motionlessly. I am not leaving. You go first. I still have to trample the ancient devil sect. What? Yuan Chushue's eyes widened, and her red lips opened slightly. Her face was full of disbelief. Chapter 835. The other party actually wanted to flatten the ancient devil sect. She felt as if she was struck by lightning, completely dumbfounded on the spot. At this time, Li Changsheng was already walking towards the mountain where the ancient devil sect was located. Hey! Yuan Chushue hurriedly chased after him. You really want to go to the ancient devil sect's headquarters? Are you crazy? There are countless experts in the ancient devil sect. Aren't you just throwing your life away? But Li Changsheng was indifferent and did not stop walking. When he was halfway up the mountain, Yuan Chushue was still following behind him. Why are you still following me? Didn't you say that I'm just throwing my life away? Hearing Li Changsheng's words, Yuan Chushue was also stunned. She did not understand why she was following him. Just as she was about to turn around and leave, she saw a black shadow rushing down from the mountain and quickly surrounding the two. At the same time, a large black net fell from the sky, enveloping Li Changsheng and Yuan Chushue. The large net was actually burning with black flames, which was very strange. This is the ancient devil sect's Earth Terminus net. Yuan Chushue's expression changed drastically. This magic weapon is notorious. Who knows how many people have died under this net? What should I do? Am I going to die like this? Yuan Chushue was very scared. The next moment, Li Changsheng suddenly hugged her slender waist, then stepped on the ground and flew into the air. Before Yuan Chushue could react, a sword light was released and instantly split the large net in half. At the same time, the sword light sprinkled down and heads flew up. The disciples of the ancient devil sect who rushed down all died under the sword. In the next second, Li Changsheng's figure did not stop. Like a large bird flying in the air, he directly flew to the top of the ancient devil sect's mountain with Yuan Chushue in his arms. At this time, Yuan Chushue finally reacted. Feeling the warmth of the big hand on her waist, she felt a sense of security. At the same time, Her cheeks instantly turned red like a mosquito. You can let go of me now. Li Changxing's face also showed a bit of embarrassment. Just now, he did not think too much about it, because he wanted to protect Yuan Chuxue. Only now did he realize that his actions were indeed a bit inappropriate. Just as he retracted his hand, a dense crowd of figures rushed out from the black hall in front of him. The leader wore a black robe with a large flame pattern embroidered on it. Counting carefully, there were 9 of them. Beside him were several elders of the ancient devil sect. Each of them had 5 to 6 flames embroidered on their robes. Li Changsheng suddenly understood. The number of flame patterns on the clothes of the ancient devil sect members represented their position in the sect. The protector who killed the Cloud Dynasty sect only had 1 flame pattern, but the old man had 9. His position in the ancient devil sect was definitely not ordinary. Sure enough, Yuan Chuxue said in a trembling voice, "That is the ancient devil sect's supreme elder, Bailey Yunguang. Bailey Yunguang is the teacher of the ancient devil sect's sect master. His strength has reached the Earth celestial stage." Earth immortal? Even Li Changxing couldn't help but shudder. When he came to this world, he already knew that there were powerhouses at the Earth celestial stage in this world. He didn't expect to finally meet one. "Young man, we just received Elder Zhao's call for help. We sent people down to check, but they disappeared without a trace. I guess they were all killed by you, right?" Bailey Yingguang looked coldly at Li Changxing. "You killed an elder and several pro-disciples of the ancient devil sect. Your strength is really good, but you dared to break into the headquarters of the ancient devil sect. Do you really think there are no people in the ancient devil sect? Of course there are people in the ancient devil sect, but in my eyes, they are just a bunch of trash." Li Changsheng snorted coldly. His words were full of arrogance. Only Li Changsheng dared to speak so arrogantly in front of a powerhouse at the Earth celestial stage. "How dare you? How dare you be rude to the Supreme Elder? Let me teach you a lesson." An elder pulled out his sword and was about to attack Li Changsheng, but he was stopped by Bailey Yunguang. Bailey Yunguang stared at Li Changsheng. His face was gloomy and uncertain. Even though Li Changsheng couldn't see through Li Changsheng's cultivation, this was the most frightening part. Someone whose cultivation couldn't be seen through was able to kill an elder and several true disciples from the ancient devil sect. This was even more frightening than seeing through cultivation. There were only 2 possibilities. One was that Li Changsheng had a skill to hide his cultivation level. The other was that Li Changsheng's cultivation level had reached a terrifying level. If it was the former, it would be better. If it was the latter, he had to reconsider. "Friend, what enmity do you have with the ancient devil sect? How dare you break into the headquarters of the ancient devil sect?" Bailey Yunguang was trying to figure out Li Changsheng's identity. "I am the guest elder of the Cloud Dynasty sect. I promised Reverend Zishan to guard the Cloud Dynasty sect. But the ancient devil sect came to the Cloud Dynasty sect to kill people. I will destroy the ancient devil sect and avenge the dead disciples of the Cloud Dynasty sect. I didn't expect the Cloud Dynasty sect to have such an expert like you." Bailey Yunguang sighed with emotion. "You have killed an elder and more than 10 disciples of my sect. You have avenged the people of the Cloud Dynasty sect. Can you leave now?" Bailey Yunguang couldn't see through Li Changxing's cultivation level. He was afraid and wanted to minimize the problem. Hearing Bailey Yunguang's words, Yuan Chuxue was surprised. She hurriedly pulled Li Changxing's sleeve and said, "Let's go down the mountain." Even the people of the ancient devil sect were confused. Unexpectedly, Li Changxing shook his head and said, "No, I promised the people of the Cloud Dynasty sect that I would destroy the ancient devil sect. So, I won't go down the mountain." Bailey Yunguang's face suddenly darkened. "Friend, where it is possible to let people off, one should be lenient. Even if you are an expert of the Earth celestial stage, you have no right to come to the headquarters of the ancient devil sect and behave atrociously. Now, I will give you a chance. Go down the mountain immediately, and I will pretend that nothing happened. Otherwise what?" Li Changsheng interrupted him. "Otherwise, I will crush your bones and scatter your ashes." Bailey Yunguang suddenly took a step forward. A horrible aura spread out from his body. He had been accumulating power. At this moment, his aura had reached its peak. There was no fear on his face. Even if Li Changsheng was powerful, he was an Earth Celestial. Moreover, he was in the territory of the ancient devil sect, so his combat power could be maximized. Feeling Bailey Yunguang's aura, Yuan Chushue's eyes were filled with despair. It's over. It's over this time. An Earth Celestial stage expert is attacking us. How can we survive? The strength of an Earth Celestial stage expert was terrifying. At this moment, as his aura spread out, Li Changsheng immediately felt as if a mountain was pressing down on him. Li Changsheng was fine. Yuan Chushue, who was next to him, began to tremble. You go aside and watch the battle. Li Changsheng patted Yuan Chushue's shoulder. Instantly, Yuan Chushue felt the pressure on her body disappear. She glanced at Li Changsheng subconsciously. When she saw his ordinary but determined face, she suddenly felt relieved. Chapter 836. Yuan Chushue nodded obediently and retreated until she was dozens of meters away. Bailey Yunguang looked at Li Changsheng in surprise. As an Earth Celestial stage powerhouse, his aura alone was enough to make people who were at a lower stage unable to bear it. However, Li Changsheng's expression didn't change much from the beginning to the end, which made him feel uncertain about Li Changsheng's strength again. As far as I know, the foreign dignitaries of the Cloud Dynasty sect are not from the Cloud Dynasty sect. They're all powerhouses who were roped in from outside. Since you're not from the Cloud Dynasty sect, why are you working for them? It's not too late to leave now. Otherwise, I will make a move. It's too late for you to regret. As Bailey Yunguang spoke, the aura emanating from his body continued to grow stronger. He kept testing Li Changsheng, but in the end, he was disappointed. Li Changsheng stood there like a statue. No matter how strong Bailey Yunguang's aura was, it still couldn't shake him. Under the oppression of his powerful aura, the hard ground began to crack. Even the elders of the ancient devil sect were retreating because they couldn't bear the pressure. I said that I would destroy your ancient devil sect. I, Li Changsheng, will definitely fulfill my promise. Li Changsheng smiled slightly. Although he didn't emit any powerful aura, the fact that he didn't move under Bailey Yunguang's aura was enough to explain a lot. It seems that there is no room for negotiation. After Bailey Yunguang finished speaking, a biting cold murderous intent began to spread. A gust of wind rose from the top of the mountain and cut people's cheeks like knives. Bailey Yunguang finally decided to make a move. Yuan Chushue's face was pale. This was an Earth Celestial stage powerhouse. At the same time, her eyes were full of worry. The disciples of the ancient devil sect, including the elders, were all excited. As the master of the ancient devil sect leader, Bailey Yunguang hadn't made a move for many years. However, he was the faith of the ancient devil sect. Boom! At this moment, facing the terrifying aura, Li Changsheng finally took a step forward. As soon as his foot landed, a sharp sword intent soared into the sky and instantly suppressed Bailey Yunguang's aura. Although Li Changsheng was not at the Earth Celestial stage, he could even defeat a heaven-chosen one at the Earth Celestial stage. At this moment, as his aura was revealed, he immediately gained the upper hand. Bailey Yunguang's face revealed a strange expression, just like what he was worried about. Li Changsheng was indeed an extremely powerful existence. However, there was no worry on his face. Instead, he waved his hand and turned it into a ball of flame, attacking Li Changsheng. The flame was black, but wherever it passed, even the void would be melted. However, when the flame reached Li Changsheng just raised his hand and waved gently, and the flame disappeared into thin air. He had obtained the flame refining technique from old ancestor Tian Shi. It could even refine the strongest flames in the world, let alone this kind of flame. You actually broke my attack without a sound. You're really not ordinary. However, you shouldn't have barged into my ancient devil sect's headquarters. This is my territory. Bailey Yunguang's eyes flashed with a bloodthirsty light. He landed on one foot, and endless flames surged out from behind him. Finally, they turned into a strange, ferocious beast, pouncing on Li Changsheng. However, when the ferocious beast was completely in front of Li Changsheng waved his hand gently, and everything in front of him disappeared. At this moment, Bailey Yunguang's expression finally changed. The Inferno mythical beast was his ultimate move. Countless experts had died under his attack. However, he did not expect that it would not cause any harm to Li Changsheng. Moreover, Li Changsheng did not even move his feet. Li Changsheng had broken 2 moves in a row, and the surroundings fell into silence. Bailey Yunguang slowly raised his hand, and a black token appeared in his hand. At the same time, the whole black mountain began to shake, and dense evil spirit gathered on his body. He finally decided to use his biggest trump card, making use of the advantage of the mountain and the earth vein to make his strongest attack. Go to hell! Bailey Yunguang roared, and the monstrous evil spirit condensed into a long saber in the air. With the guidance of his hand gesture, the saber suddenly slashed down on Li Changsheng with the sound of wind and thunder. Rumble! Instantly, the void between the heaven and earth was sliced into 2 halves from the middle. Terrifying primal chaos energy gushed out from both sides as the black saber slashed down. Even a mountain would be sliced into 2 halves by such an attack. Is this the Earth's celestial stage? It's too weak. Li Changsheng raised his hand, and the ardent dragon spear appeared. He stabbed with the spear, and suddenly, a golden flood dragon flew into the air. Boom! The golden flood dragon collided with the black saber, and in an instant, a terrifying power erupted, surging in all directions. Everywhere it passed, everything turned into chaos. Yuan Chuxue was so scared that she quickly retreated. On the other side, the disciples of the ancient devil sect were also quickly distancing themselves from the 2 people in the battle. The 2 people's strength was too terrifying, and the aftermath was not something that others could bear. This Li Changsheng is so powerful. Is he an Earth's celestial stage? Yuan Chuxue's eyes flashed. Although she knew that there were Earth celestials in this world since she was a child, it was the first time she saw one as young as Li Changsheng. As far as I know, the chief disciple of the Cloud Dynasty sect has just reached the Finger Profound stage. Is he really not Yangyi? I didn't expect the Cloud Dynasty sect to be hiding such a master. Although you are an Earth celestial stage, in my eyes, you are a little inferior. I don't want to waste time with you. At this time, Li Changsheng's disdainful voice came from the center of the battle. Then, on the tip of the golden spear, a blazing sun bloomed with golden light and fell together with the ardent dragon spear. The token in Bailey Yunguang's hand was instantly shattered, and the array of the whole mountain was broken in an instant. As for Bailey Yunguang, he was hit in the chest by the sun and flew dozens of meters away. After he fell to the ground, his chest caved in. Although you are an Earth celestial stage, you are not qualified to fight with me. Now, I will send you on your way. After Li Changsheng finished speaking, he swept the spear again and smashed it on Bailey Yunguang's head. Bailey Yunguang's head was filled with disbelief. It was smashed open by the spear, and the headless body fell to the ground. An Earth celestial stage expert died just like that. On the mountain, countless disciples of the ancient devil sect widened their eyes in disbelief. Yuan Chuxue's heart jumped. What kind of cultivation can kill an Earth celestial stage expert so easily? Is he a legendary true celestial? Yuan Chuxue quickly denied her own idea. A true celestial has not appeared in the world for hundreds of years. How is that possible? Just as she was thinking nonsense, she looked up and saw Li Changsheng standing in front of her. Without waiting for her to speak, he hugged her waist again and flew into the sky. Yuan Chuxue's face was red, but she could not say a word. Then, she saw a scene that she would never forget for the rest of her life. With a wave of Li Changsheng's palm, the entire mountain peak of the ancient devil sect began to burn with raging flames. Wherever the flames passed, whether it was rocks, trees, or palaces, everything was turned into ashes. The disciples of the ancient devil sect didn't even have time to scream before they completely evaporated into thin air. Chapter 837. Let's go. Li Changxing no longer looked at the situation of the ancient devil sect and flew down from the sky with Yuan Chuxue in his arms. Can you let go of me now? Yuan Chushue's cheeks were burning, and she didn't even dare to look at Li Changxing. Of course. Li Changxing let go of her. People of the ancient devil sect. Yuan Chuxue wanted to say something, but Li Changxing interrupted her. Don't worry. The ancient devil sect will no longer exist in this world. Yuan Chuxue subconsciously looked back at the headquarters of the ancient devil sect and was surprised to find that the 10,000 zhang tall mountain had shrunk by half. The ancient devil sect's black demon mountain has been invaded by the baleful aura and has become extraordinary. If it was an ordinary mountain, it would have been burned off from the world by my flames. However, this has given me an unexpected harvest. Li Changxing suddenly waved his hand and turned it into a giant palm print. He grabbed the black demon mountain with all his strength. Suddenly, the entire earth rumbled and the black demon mountain was pulled up from the ground by him. Following that, the raging flames continued to burn. 10 minutes later, the flames disappeared. The entire black fiend mountain had become pitch black. At the same time, it continued to shrink. In the end, it actually became a pocket mountain the size of a palm and was received by Li Changxing. The Black Demon Mountain has been continuously invaded by the baleful aura. After who knows how many years, it has finally become the prototype of a magic treasure. In the future, with a bit of refinement, its power will definitely be extraordinary. Li Changxing muttered to himself and put away the Black Demon Mountain. Yuan Chuxue was completely stunned. Refining a mountain into a magic treasure, what kind of method was this? Perhaps even the ancestor of the White Robe sect would not be able to do this. The way she looked at Li Changxing was completely different. There was shock, reverence, and a trace of strangeness. After destroying the ancient devil sect, Li Changxing returned to the Cloud Dynasty sect with Yuan Chuxue following beside him. Miss, do you need me to send you back to your sect? Li Changxing thought that Yuan Chuxue was following him because she was afraid and felt safe staying by his side. So he asked. Unexpectedly, Yuan Chuxue shook her head and said, No, I just want to go to the Cloud Dynasty sect with you. All right. Li Changxing thought that she had something to do with the Cloud Dynasty sect, so he didn't think much about it. Because it wasn't convenient to directly fly back with Yuan Chuxue in his arms, the two of them had to walk on foot. Their speed was much slower, and it took them more than half a day to reach the Cloud Dynasty sect. After stepping into the Cloud Dynasty sect, a disciple immediately went to report to the Cloud Dynasty sect. Just as he arrived at the square in front of the main hall, he saw someone pulling and pulling. It was Chunling, and her father, Chen Hao. From afar, Chen Hao grabbed Chunling, wrist and said, Come home with me. Chunling, kept shaking her head. Seeing this scene, Li Changxing hurriedly stepped forward and asked, What's going on? Seeing Li Changxing, Chunling, it was like seeing his savior. She quickly broke away from her father's hand and hid beside Li Changxing. Mr. Li, my father heard that the Cloud Dynasty sect was in danger this time. He was afraid that I would be in danger, so he insisted on taking me home. No matter what I said to him, he wouldn't listen. At this time, Chen Hao saw his daughter hiding beside Li Changxing. He immediately glared at Li Changxing and shouted, Get out of the way. I'll fight with whoever stops me. Chen family head, the people of the ancient devil sect have been driven away, and I have already destroyed the ancient devil sect, so the Cloud Dynasty sect will not be in danger. Li Changxing patiently explained. Unexpectedly, Chen Hao's face became cold and said, If you said that the ancient devil sect was driven away, then it's possible. But you said that you destroyed the ancient devil sect? Do you think I'm stupid? And even if the ancient devil sect was destroyed, so what? Now that the top 10 demon sects have appeared, the ancient devil sect is just a small pawn. 1,000 years ago, the Cloud Dynasty sect was also a 6th grade sect. The top 10 demon sects will not let the Cloud Dynasty sect go. I brought Ling home for her own good. Get out of the way immediately, or else I won't be polite to you. In Chun Hao's eyes, Li Changsheng was just an ordinary young man with some aptitude for cultivation that he had met on the road. He was already very patient for not slapping Li Changsheng to the side on the spot. But just as he finished speaking, a cold voice came, "I want to see who dares to be rude to guest elderly." The door of the hall was pushed open, and several dignified figures walked out. The one leading was Taoist Master Zishan. Taoist Master Zishan's face was a bit pale, and his footsteps were a bit weak. But he was still a sect leader. His glare made Chun Hao shrink back in fear. At the same time, he showed a puzzled expression. "What guest elder?" Chun Ling hurriedly explained. "Father, Li Changsheng is now a guest elder of the Cloud Dynasty sect. His position is on the same level as the sect leader. You must pay attention to your words and actions." "What?" This time, Chun Hao was completely stunned. He only felt that his mind was blank. He couldn't understand. That ordinary youth he met on the road, wasn't he a new disciple like his daughter? How did he become a guest elder of the Cloud Dynasty sect in such a short period of time, and even have the same status as the sect leader? Standing behind Li Changsheng, Yuan Chushue, who didn't speak until now, suddenly showed a bit of realization. So he's a guest elder who is on the same level as Taoist Master Zishan. No wonder he has such strength. "Guest elderly, you're finally back." Taoist Master Zishan came up and warmly held Li Changsheng's hand. "I heard that you chased away the people of the ancient devil sect from my Cloud Dynasty sect, and even went to find trouble with them. I was worried for you. It's good that you're back safely." As she spoke, she looked at Li Changsheng from head to toe, but found that Li Changsheng didn't have any injuries on his body. Her eyes couldn't help but reveal doubt. "As far as I know, the ancient devil sect's Grand Elder Bailey Yunguang is an Earth Celestial stage expert. Could it be that he isn't in the sect?" Indeed, in her opinion, although Li Changsheng is powerful, he hasn't broken through to the Earth Celestial stage. If he encountered Bailey Yunguang, even if he was lucky enough to escape, he would be seriously injured. Now that she saw that Li Changsheng didn't have any injuries on his body, there was only one possibility. That is, Li Changsheng didn't encounter Bailey Yunguang, and Bailey Yunguang wasn't in the ancient devil sect. Li Changsheng shook his head. "Bailey Yunguang was there, and I had a great battle with him." And in the end, not only Taoist Master Zishan, everyone in the surroundings pricked up their ears. Li Changsheng actually had a great battle with the Earth Celestial stage expert Bailey Yunguang. This was really shocking. "In the end, I killed Bailey Yunguang and flattened the ancient devil sect." As soon as Li Changsheng finished speaking, the entire area quieted down. Everyone's eyes widened, obviously shocked by Li Changsheng's words. "Honored guest Li, you really know how to joke." Taoist Master Zishan was stunned for a few seconds, then she laughed. In front of so many people, she was too embarrassed to say that Li Changsheng was boasting. Li Changsheng's strength was very strong, and he was about to break through to the Earth Celestial stage. If he encountered Bailey Yunguang, he would definitely have the strength to fight. She even believed that he could escape from Bailey Yunguang's clutches. However, Taoist Master Zishan didn't believe that he killed Bailey Yunguang. Chapter 838. What I said is true, Li Changsheng said indifferently. "I can testify." At this moment, Yuan Chushue stood out and cupped her hands. "Greetings to Taoist Master Zishan. Greetings to the two seniors." "You are?" Taoist Master Zishan felt that Yuan Chushue was somewhat familiar. "I am a direct disciple of White Robe sect, Yuan Chushue. My father is Yuan Liheng. So you are Taoist brother Yuan's daughter." Hearing Yuan Liheng's name, not only Taoist Master Zishan, even the two grand elders were moved. Yuan Liheng was the sect leader of White Robe sect, and this Yuan Chushue was the daughter of the sect leader of White Robe sect. "How did the two of you end up together?" Taoist Master Zishan looked at Li Changsheng and then at Yuan Chushue. "When the ancient devil sect attacked Cloud Dynasty sect, they also invaded my White Robe sect. My father happened to be away, and in order to protect me, my master was killed by the people of the ancient devil sect. In a fit of anger, I decided to ambush the ancient devil sect at the foot of the mountain and kill a few disciples of the ancient devil sect to avenge my master. However, I didn't expect to meet an elder of the ancient devil sect. Just as I was about to escape from the elder of the ancient devil sect, I met Mr. Lee. It was Mr. Lee who saved me and brought me to attack the ancient devil sect, completely flattening the ancient devil sect. Hearing Yuan Chushue's solemn vow, Taoist Master Zishan finally believed her. Good job, Mr. Lee. Taoist Master Zishan's heart was filled with resentment after nearly being annihilated by the ancient devil sect. Looks like the 10 great demon sects are making a comeback. No sect can stay out of this. I only hope that the 3 holy lands can stop them. Otherwise, our Tian capital star will suffer a calamity. Taoist Master Zishan sighed. At this moment, Chun Hao finally believed in Li Chongsheng's identity and hurriedly apologized to Li Chongsheng. How could Li Chongsheng argue with him? He directly walked into the main hall. Reverend Zishan then explained the current situation of Celestial Capital Star to Li Chongsheng. Only then did Li Chongsheng know that the 3 holy lands had joined forces with the righteous sects to chase the demonic sects into the bitter cold lands. But now a powerful figure had emerged from the demonic sects. Together with the 10 great sects, they were making a comeback. The demonic sects, like the ancient demonic sect, had heeded the call of the demon lord and attacked the righteous sects at almost the same time. A great chaos was about to erupt. The 3 holy lands have already issued an order to gather the 10 great demon sects in a month's time at Sky Capital Peak to decide the ownership of this world. I will also be setting off in a few days. Mr. Lee, I wonder if you will continue to stay in the sect to cultivate or go with me. I'll go with you. Li Chongsheng immediately replied. After coming to this world and encountering such a rare event, how could he not go and see it with his own eyes? As for Cloud Dynasty Sect's biggest enemy, the ancient devil sect, it had already been destroyed, so there was no need for Li Chongsheng to continue holding the fort. Good. Then, Mr. Lee, please prepare. We will set off in 3 days. After Reverend Zishan finished speaking, she looked at Chun Hao, who was still standing there. Patriarch Chun, the ancient devil sect has already been destroyed by the guest elder, so Cloud Dynasty sect is no longer in danger. You can leave Ling in the sect. Ling Er's cultivation talent is very strong. If she returned to your family, it would be a waste of her talent. At this time, in the war between the righteous and demonic sects, it is still unknown who will win. If the demonic sects win, it won't be too late for you to bring Ling back to your family. Hearing Reverend Zishan's words, Chun Hao hurriedly nodded. He was also worried about his daughter. After everything was settled, Li Chongsheng returned to the valley. Yuan Chushue stayed behind to discuss some matters with Reverend Zishan. As the eldest daughter of the White Cloth sect, Yuan Chushue was definitely an important guest in Cloud Dynasty sect. After returning to the valley, Li Chongsheng asked Bai Chuan to help him pack his things. As the person in charge of serving Li Chongsheng, Bai Chuan naturally had to accompany him. While Bai Chuan was packing his things, while Li Chongsheng was lying on the rattan chair and sunbathing, he saw Chun Ling sneakily walk in. Mr. Lee, in 3 days, you'll go to Sky Capital Peak. Can you bring me along? This is the first grand event in 1,000 years. I really want to go and see. Who knew that Li Chongsheng would shake his head? The righteous and demonic sects are going to have a great war. Even I don't dare to say that I will be safe. It is too dangerous for you to go. Hearing Li Chongsheng's refusal, Chun Ling eyes immediately became watery. Mr. Lee, last time you said that you treated Ling as your little sister, but now that you have the White Cloth sect's big sister Yuan Chushue, you immediately treat me like this. Hearing Chun Ling words, Li Chongsheng only felt a headache, thinking, what the hell is this? What does this have to do with Yuan Chushue? But seeing Chun Ling eager eyes, he finally sighed. Fine, then I will bring you along. Thank you, Mr. Lee. I know you're the best to me. After saying that, Chun Ling skipped away. Li Chongsheng fell into deep thought. According to Taoist Zishan, the 3 holy lands may have true immortal stage existences. With his current strength, he can naturally defeat Earth Immortals, but if he meets true Immortals, he may have to run for his life. It seems that he needs to break through to Earth Immortal stage as soon as possible. Only then can he do whatever he wants in this world. But he always feels that he is still lacking a bit of time to break through to Earth Immortal stage. 3 days later, Li Changsheng, Dao Isishan, and a few elders officially set off. The carriage was pulled by dragon blood horses. These dragon blood horses are said to have the bloodline of true dragons. They are naturally docile and have great endurance, making them the most common means of transportation on Sky Capital Star. In Li Changxing's carriage, Chun Ling quietly hid in a corner. Because Yuan Chuxue was an honored guest of Cloud Dynasty sect, she also needed to go to Sky Capital Peak to find her father, so Cloud Dynasty sect specially arranged a carriage for her. The one driving Li Changxing's carriage was his disciple Baichuan. Under Li Changxing's guidance, Baichuan's strength had greatly improved. At this moment, he was silently cultivating while driving the carriage. Although his aptitude was a bit lacking, but in terms of diligence, he was definitely not inferior to anyone. Li Changsheng also sat on the shaft of the carriage, swinging his legs. He regarded this once in a 1,000-year battle between good and evil on Sky Capital Star as a trip. Although he did not break through to Earth Immortal stage, but even if a true Immortal came, he believed that he could escape unscathed. Not to mention, in the entire Sky Capital Star, the 3 Holy Lands, and the 10 Great Demon Sects, the number of true Immortal stage powerhouses could be counted with one hand. In the carriage in front, Yuan Chuxue was sitting. The curtain of the carriage was lifted slightly. Looking at Li Changsheng, who was sitting there leisurely, Yuan Chuxue's eyes were filled with infatuation. He is really handsome. The most handsome person I have ever seen. Yuan Chuxue muttered to herself. Next to her, the maid sent by Cloud Dynasty sect to serve her couldn't help but be speechless, thinking to herself, what kind of aesthetic sense does this white-robed sex young miss have? That guest elderly is strong, but I really can't see how he is handsome. Chapter 839. Sky Capital Peak was located at the center of the world, and the entire planet was named after the word Sky Capital. 7 days after Li Changsheng and the rest set off, they arrived at an ancient city. The city stood tall and straight, piercing through the clouds, exuding an ancient aura. This used to be the capital of Sky Capital Star's first dynasty, the Great Yu Dynasty. The Great Yu Dynasty was also known as the Celestial Dynasty and once awed the world. At its peak, even the 3 Holy Lands and the 10 Demon Sects had to listen to its orders. Unfortunately, it was destroyed in a single day, leaving only this majestic city behind. In front of the city gate, Taoist Master Zishan lamented. Since ancient times, the various Holy Lands and immortal sects were above the secular royalty, but only the emergence of the Great Yu Dynasty allowed the secular royalty to surpass the Holy Lands. That was a tragic history. Li Changsheng looked at the majestic city that almost reached the clouds. It was unbelievably majestic. Just by looking at this city, one could imagine how terrifying the strength of the Great Yu Dynasty was. Let's go. Let's enter the city. Taoist Master Zishan lamented. Just as she was about to move forward, she heard a whistling sound coming from behind. A general in golden armor was leading a group of soldiers and horses towards them. Li Changsheng and the rest stood on the road, but the other party did not seem to have any intention of stopping the horse. Retreat quickly, Taoist Master Zishan exclaimed and pulled Li Changsheng and the rest to the side. At this time, the horse's hooves just happened to rush past them. When the golden armored general entered the city, he turned around and looked at Li Changsheng's group with disdain. Then, he entered the city without looking back. The golden armored general is known as the king of the sacred mountain. It is said that he is a descendant of the 6 founding kings of the Great Yu Dynasty, and his strength has reached the late Earth Immortal stage. The king of the sacred mountain's real name is Yang Jing, the number 1 sky pride of the southern region. The surrounding people were discussing. The other party was very domineering, rushing into the city without stopping. Many people around were scared out of their wits. Isn't this guy too domineering? Chunling said unhappily. However, Taoist Master Zishan hastily gestured for him to keep quiet. This king of the sacred mountain, Yang Jing, proved his Tao through martial arts. His strength is terrifying. I have long heard of his name. He is almost invincible in the same realm. He is second only to the 3 holy lands in the righteous faction. Even the holy sons of the 3 holy lands may not be his match. We cannot afford to offend him. As Taoist Zishan spoke, she couldn't help but glance at Li Changsheng. Li Changsheng hadn't broken through to the Earth Celestial stage, but he could kill a powerhouse at the Earth Celestial stage. He couldn't help but add, if Mr. Li breaks through to the Earth Celestial stage and stabilizes his stage, you might be able to fight him. The battle between good and evil this time involved so much that it almost shook the entire Tindu starfield. Experts kept appearing in front of Great Yu's imperial city. In just a short time that Li Changsheng and the others were there were already no less than 3 waves of experts. Come on, let's enter the city as well. Taoist Master Zishan finished speaking. Suddenly, a rumbling sound came from behind. A man was sitting on a chariot pulled by 3 strange beasts. His violent aura could be felt from afar. Although he wasn't as reckless as the king of the sacred mountain, he was still very rude. When he saw Li Changsheng and the others blocking his way, he immediately shouted, "Get out of my way! How dare you block the path of this heavenly lord? Are you tired of living?" Li Changsheng immediately frowned. These people were too arrogant. They should be taught a lesson. The surrounding people all showed a look of fear. However, Taoist Zishan grabbed Li Changsheng's arm and kept shaking her head. She was afraid that Li Changsheng would clash with the other party. Li Changsheng's eyes were cold as he stared at the other party. If the other party dared to offend him again, he wouldn't mind twisting the other party's head off. Although he had deliberately kept a low profile along the way, it didn't mean that he was easy to bully. The man on the carriage seemed to have sensed Li Changsheng's gaze and coldly swept over. There was some disdain at the corners of his mouth as he coldly snorted. "You are quite bold to dare to look directly at me. If we were not in front of the old imperial city of the Great Yu dynasty, I would not mind teaching you a lesson." After saying that, the other party also entered the city. This person is called Heavenly Lord Greenwood. It is said that he has just broken through to the late-stage Earth immortal realm. He is at the peak of his arrogance. We can't afford to offend him. Taoist Zishan smiled bitterly. Although he was the sect master of sect, as long as he didn't break through to the Earth immortal realm, he wouldn't be ranked in this world. Finally, Li Changsheng and the others entered what used to be Great Yu's imperial city. This road was the only way to Sky Capital Peak from the south, and was known as the most impregnable pass on Sky Capital Planet. However, the soldiers and generals guarding this place were all lazing around. Great Yu dynasty had been destroyed. This city was jointly controlled by more than a dozen major forces. It was very chaotic. After entering the city, the news of the war between the good and evil was spread everywhere. Among them, Sacred Mountain King Yang Jing, Greenwood Divine Lord, and a few other forces were the top forces in the south. However, no one mentioned Cloud Dynasty Sect and White Robe Sect. Those who participated in the war are all warriors. The City Lord of Great Yu City will host a banquet in the center of the square. A loud voice resounded throughout the city. Who is the City Lord of Great Yu's imperial city? Li Changsheng looked at Taoist Zishan, who was next to him. This ancient city is jointly controlled by more than a dozen forces. However, every once in a while, a city lord will be elected. He must be a person of virtue and prestige, and also a very powerful expert. Half an hour later, various forces gathered in the square. There seemed to be at least 1,000 people. Among them, a few powerful forces each occupied a side. The surrounding people stayed far away from them, not daring to provoke them. Initially, Taoist Zishan wanted to hide at the edge of the square. A small sect like this naturally had to keep a low profile. However, as soon as they arrived, the City Lord of Great Yu had already appeared. It was not good for them to move again, so they had to stay where they were. At this time, Li Changsheng found that Greenwood Divine Lord was not far away from him. His strange beast mount had been put away, and he stood there alone. However, the area around him was a vacuum, and the powerful aura he emitted made people not dare to approach him. "Get lost," Greenwood Divine Lord said coldly when he saw Li Changsheng and the others were not far away from him. Daoist Zishan was about to retreat, but she couldn't move Li Changsheng even after pulling him a few times. Her face was filled with anxiety. Greenwood Divine Lord's face was gloomy and his eyes were cold. He didn't expect that Li Changsheng would dare to go against him. At this moment, he suddenly raised his hand and slapped toward Li Changsheng. He didn't care that the City Lord of Great Yu had already appeared and whether his action would annoy the City Lord of Great Yu. Many people were attracted by the situation. Greenwood Divine Lord had just broken through to the Earth Immortal realm and was in the limelight recently. No one expected that someone would dare to provoke him. His palm formed a transparent palm in the air and fell down with great power. Li Changsheng had no intention of dodging. He raised his hand and met the palm. The falling palm was instantly broken. Greenwood Divine Lord is an expert with the Earth Immortal Sword. His attack was broken just like that. This young man is not ordinary. Everyone who witnessed the scene had a strange look in their eyes. Chapter 840. Kid, you're courting death. Seeing that his attack was broken, Greenwood's eyes immediately flashed with anger. Originally, he just wanted to teach Li Changsheng a lesson, but Li Changsheng made him lose face in front of so many people, which immediately enraged him. He was arrogant and domineering, and now that he had broken through to the Earth Immortal realm, he would not tolerate any disobedience. Boom! A terrifying aura spread out from his body, and he was about to attack Li Changsheng with all his strength. The surrounding people were shocked, and they quickly distanced themselves from him. A great battle was about to break out. Finally, the Lord of Great Yu City said coldly, "Today, I've invited all the heroes to a banquet. Greenwood, if you continue to attack, you're not giving me face. Although I'm not strong enough, I have 13 forces behind me. If you insist on attacking, you're going against all of us." As soon as the Lord of Great Yu City finished speaking, the attack that Greenwood was about to unleash gradually dissipated. Indeed, no matter how strong he was, he did not dare to offend 13 forces at once. "Kid, you're good. I'll remember you," Greenwood said in a gloomy voice. "You should thank the Lord of Great Yu City for speaking up. Otherwise, you'd be a corpse now." Li Changsheng's voice became even more arrogant. The surrounding people burst into an uproar. They did not expect that Li Changsheng was not afraid of Greenwood at all. Reverend Zishan's face turned bitter. In an instant, a vacuum was formed around Li Changsheng. Obviously, because he dared to go against Greenwood, he was listed as one of the people who should not be provoked by many. Of course, many people in the crowd recognized Cloud Dynasty sect, and they were surprised. A small Cloud Dynasty sect dared to provoke an Earth Immortal, which was an eye-opener for them. At the same time, they felt that Cloud Dynasty sect was not far from death. The banquet began, and wine and meat were served separately. For those super strong experts, the Lord of Great Yu City personally came to propose a toast. Although the Lord of Great Yu City had not reached the Earth Immortal realm, the force he represented was extraordinary, and even the king of Sacred Mountain was polite to him. Finally, he came to Li Changsheng's side, and Reverend Zishan hurriedly stood up and bowed. "Your Excellency is so proud that you dare to fight against Sir God Greenwood. May I know which force you are from?" Great Yu's City Lord asked. He was very curious, as he couldn't think of Li Changsheng's identity no matter how hard he tried. "I'm a guest of the Cloud Dynasty sect." "Cloud Dynasty sect?" The City Lord frowned and asked, "Is that the second-grade sect?" He found it unbelievable that a small second-grade sect dared to offend an expert like Divine Lord Azurewood. "Mr. Li, the foreign elder of my sect, is reckless and has offended someone he should not have offended. Please, City Lord Great Yu, come forward and mediate. I'm willing to apologize to Divine Lord Greenwood." Taoist Zishan hurriedly said. Li Changsheng had offended Divine Lord Greenwood, so he wanted to die. Upon hearing this, the Lord of Great Yu City sneered. So, it turns out that you're just a weakling. Now you know how to be afraid. What did you do earlier? Of course. Although he said this, his expression had already turned cold. How could a second-grade sect with a bunch of ignorant fools be worthy of him personally coming over to propose a toast? Do you think the city Lord of Great Yu will help us? Elder Xiong Yujing looked at Taoist Zishan. At this moment, the city Lord of Great Yu had already walked toward Divine Lord Greenwood on the other side. Who knows? Let's leave it to fate. Taoist Zishan looked dispirited, like a frosted eggplant. After leaving Li Changsheng and the others, the city Lord of Great Yu went straight to Divine Lord Greenwood's place. After whispering to Divine Lord Greenwood for a while, he walked toward other forces. At this moment, Divine Lord Greenwood cast a cold glance at him and said, "Kid, I'll remember you." Divine Lord Greenwood's voice was gloomy and full of coldness. Many people around cast a pitying look at Li Changsheng. Everyone knew that Divine Lord Greenwood was not someone to be trifled with. "You'd better not mess with me. I don't care if you're Divine Lord Greenwood or some other Divine Lord. If you mess with me, I'll make sure you die a horrible death." Li Changsheng retorted without hesitation. Many people's faces suddenly changed. They did not expect that Li Changsheng would still refuse to be outdone at this moment. They were all wondering what Li Changsheng's trump card was. In the distance, the city Lord of Great Yu, who was talking with another expert, cast a mocking look and thought to himself, "This guy really doesn't know what's good for him. Send someone to warn him. Don't think that just because I'm maintaining order in Great Yu's royal city, he can make enemies at will. If he messes with Divine Lord Greenwood again, I won't stop him next time. Let him be responsible for his own life and death." The city Lord of Great Yu said to a subordinate next to him. The subordinate nodded and walked to Li Changsheng's place with a cold face, then repeated the words of the city Lord of Great Yu. Li Changsheng just twitched his mouth disdainfully and said, "Please tell the city Lord that I never need his protection." On the other side, the city Lord of Great Yu had a cold look in his eyes. He did not expect Li Changsheng to be so arrogant. Even he could not help but want to attack Li Changsheng, let alone Divine Lord Greenwood. This young man is really something. He doesn't even take the city Lord of Great Yu seriously. I think he knows that he won't have a good ending after offending Divine Lord Greenwood. That's why he decided to go all out. I don't think so. There's no fear on his face. He must have something to rely on. Everyone was talking about it. But no matter what, Cloud Dynasty sect had become famous in an instant. After the banquet was over, Great Yu's royal city arranged accommodations for all who were going to participate in the war. Of course, the accommodations were divided into 3 grades. 9 grades. Powerhouses in the Earth's celestial stage, such as the King of the Holy Mountain, Yangjing, and the Greenwood Divine Lord were naturally treated as distinguished guests and were personally invited into the city governor's mansion. Powerhouses in the Finger Profound realm were also assigned to superior private residences. Those below could only squeeze into inns or even set up tents in the square. There were too many people going to Heaven Capital Peak, and Great Yu's royal city did not have so many accommodations for everyone. As a second-grade sect, Cloud Dynasty Sect's sect master, Reverend Zishan, was a profound finger expert. She should have been given a courtyard, but in the end, she was given a tent in the square. The several elders and disciples of the Cloud Dynasty sect were furious. "He's bullying us." Yuan Chushue was the angriest. She was the daughter of the White Robe sect, and with this identity, she should have a courtyard. Divine Lord Greenwood was invited to the City Lord's mansion by the City Lord, but not long after he left the square, he returned and stared coldly at Li Changsheng. The surrounding air suddenly froze, and a great fighting spirit rose from Divine Lord Greenwood. A fight was about to break out. All the people of Cloud Dynasty sect tensed up, and they were extremely nervous. After all, this was an Earth immortal. On the other hand, as one of the parties involved, Li Changsheng's expression was incomparably relaxed. Even though his opponent was at the earthly celestial stage, Li Changsheng didn't take him seriously. If his opponent attacked, Li Chongqing was confident that he could take his opponent's life within 10 moves. Before breaking through to the Earth Immortal Realm, Li Chongqing did not want to be too ostentatious. But if someone provoked him, he would not mind giving a warning to those who had eyes but failed to see. Chapter 841. Divine Lord Greenwood, you are arrogant because you are an Earth Immortal, but I advise you not to provoke me. Otherwise, this day next year will be the anniversary of your death. Li Chongqing said in an indifferent voice. There was no terrifying aura emanating from his body, but at this moment he gave people a feeling that he was not weaker than Divine Lord Greenwood, because he was too calm. Divine Lord Greenwood clenched his fists, but he did not attack. Instead, he licked his lips and turned to leave with an evil smile. Everyone in Cloud Dynasty sect breathed a sigh of relief. In the distance, countless divine senses disappeared in an instant. Obviously, the battle just now had alarmed many experts in the city. After breaking through to the Earth Immortal Realm, Divine Lord Greenwood has become arrogant and domineering. He has made so many enemies. In Great Yu's royal city, he will not easily attack because of the forces that control the city. Reverend Zishan analyzed, but this enmity has already been formed. As long as we leave Great Yu's royal city, we will definitely be attacked by Divine Lord Greenwood. Reverend Zishan was so worried that she even suggested returning to Cloud Dynasty sect directly instead of participating in the battle between the righteous and evil. After all, after the battle between the righteous and evil, rewards would be given according to one's contributions. If Cloud Dynasty sect wanted to become a 6th grade sect, it had to make contributions in such a battle to promote the sect again and receive more tributes from the countries. No need. If Divine Lord Greenwood comes, I will deal with him, Li Chongqing said coldly. Then he walked to his tent and settled down. Yuan Chuxue and Chenling also went back. They were a little tired after the journey. Several disciples of Cloud Dynasty sect were shaking their heads. It was true that Li Chongqing had destroyed Ancient Fiend sect and saved Cloud Dynasty sect, but now he had provoked a dangerous figure like Divine Lord Greenwood. Some people were dissatisfied with Li Chongqing, but they did not say it out loud. After staying one night in Great Yu's royal city, they were about to set off the next day. However, just as they arrived at the gate, a troop of soldiers came whistling through the air and rushed directly into Li Chongqing's camp. It was the Deputy General of King of Sacred Mountain. When King of Sacred Mountain entered the city yesterday, Li Chongqing had noticed him. Scram! The Deputy General was just as arrogant as the Sacred Mountain King. When he saw that Li Chongqing didn't move aside, he raised his hooves and almost stomped on Li Chongqing's head. I told you to get lost. Didn't you hear me? With a ferocious look on his face, the whip in his hand was aimed directly at Li Chongqing's face. Li Chongqing raised his hand and grabbed the whip that was coming down. With a forceful tug, the whip was split in half. The deputy on the horse looked at the two halves of the whip and immediately revealed an angry expression. He pulled out a long sword from his waist and pointed it at Li Chongqing's position. At the same time, the soldiers behind him rushed out from both sides and surrounded all the people of Cloud Dynasty sect. In front of the city gate, many people who were about to leave the city stopped in their tracks. Many guards on the city wall also cast their gazes down. The black-robed city lord of Great Yu and king of Sacred Mountain, Yang Jing, stood side by side at the center of the city. City Lord, Great Yu Royal City was originally the property of Great Yu Kingdom. Great Yu has been destroyed for many years, and as the descendant of the 6 founding kings of Great Yu Dynasty, I have the responsibility to take back Great Yu Royal City. In this war between the righteous and evil, I will surely accumulate enough merits, and when the time comes, I will propose to take back Great Yu Royal City. King of Sacred Mountain said politely. He had always been arrogant and domineering. If it weren't for the sake of taking back Great Yu Royal City, he wouldn't be so humble. The city lord nodded. I understand what you mean, King of the Sacred Mountain, but you should know that it is because of the existence of Great Yu Imperial City that I can become the city lord. Otherwise, with my strength, how could I be respected by so many people? The lord of Great U City looked troubled. Don't worry, city lord. This time, I prepared 30 boxes of good stuff for you. As long as you help me convince the various forces, and they don't stop me when I take back Great U's imperial city, those things will all belong to you. Good. King of Sacred Mountain is indeed a righteous man. Do you want me to deal with that little minion down there? The city lord looked at Li Changsheng, who was standing below. City lord, you said he is just a little minion. My deputy is enough to deal with him. King of Sacred Mountain said casually. Huh. I heard that your deputy is also at the peak of Profound Realm. I congratulate you on taking back Great U Royal City and rebuilding Great U Kingdom as soon as possible. Below the city wall, soldiers in black armor surrounded the people of Cloud Dynasty sect. Their dragon blood horses neighed, and their iron hooves shook the ground. The people around them took the initiative to distance themselves, forming circles around them. The king of Sacred Mountain was one of the top experts in the world. It was big news that his deputy had a conflict with someone. Li Changsheng stood in the middle of the road, his eyes cold. There was no murderous aura around him, but he gave people a feeling that he was as immovable as a mountain. I am the deputy of the king of Sacred Mountain. How dare you destroy my whip? You are courting death. The bearded deputy glared at Li Changsheng with his eyes wide open. Li Changsheng only sneered when he heard that. You want to whip me? Do you think I will just stand here and let you whip me? What a joke. As soon as he finished speaking, he took a step forward. At that moment, his aura surged like a tsunami. The dragon blood horse neighed in panic and took a few steps back. The golden dragon spear appeared in Li Changsheng's hand. The tip of the spear was pointed at the deputy of the king of Sacred Mountain. At that moment, a murderous aura filled the air, and the people around them felt a chill in their hearts. The deputy of the king of Sacred Mountain suddenly showed some fear in his eyes. At that moment, he knew Li Changsheng's cultivation level. He was at the peak of the Profound Finger realm and was not weaker than him. This was an opponent worthy of being treated as an equal. If he had encountered such an expert in the past, he would not have easily attacked, even if he was the deputy of the king of Sacred Mountain. But now he had no way out. In Great U's imperial city, the king of Sacred Mountain was a descendant of the Great U dynasty's 6 founding kings. He was determined to reclaim Great U's imperial city and rebuild his kingdom. As the deputy of the king of Sacred Mountain, if he was scared off by an unknown cultivator, it would damage the king of Sacred Mountain's prestige. He slowly raised the sword in his hand. The soldiers behind him moved and formed in all shape. It was a kind of battle formation that could condense the entire army's aura into one. The king of Sacred Mountain's men always regarded themselves as generals on the battlefield instead of pure cultivators. That was why they used a battle formation against the enemy instead of fighting Li Changsheng alone. The deputy of the king of Sacred Mountain was once a proud son of heaven who was recruited by the king of Sacred Mountain to serve him. If he can make him use a battle formation to fight the enemy, he must be treating him as an opponent of the same level. This young man seems to be a guest elder of the Cloud Dynasty sect. When did the Cloud Dynasty sect produce such an expert? His cultivation base is on par with the deputy of the king of Sacred Mountain, but the deputy obviously has no intention of fighting him alone. In the face of a battle formation, he will die. On the city wall, the king of Sacred Mountain stood with his hands behind his back. His face was expressionless. Clearly, he was very confident in his deputy's strength. After I kill you, I'll go and take the king of Sacred Mountain's head. When I entered the city that day, I didn't want to bicker with you people. Do you really think I'm a bodhisattva who has no temper? Li Changsheng spoke in a cold voice that caused an uproar. It took a lot of courage to point a spear at the king of Sacred Mountain. As for the king of Sacred Mountain on the city wall, his eyes flashed with a hint of coldness. Challenging his authority in front of so many people was a death sentence. How dare you be rude to the king of Sacred Mountain? You will die today. The deputy's aura reached its peak. The void behind him began to distort, and a murderous intent shot up to the sky. This was definitely a cultivator who had fought his way out of mountains of corpses and seas of blood. Such a cultivator was even more terrifying. You've made all the preparations, haven't you? Can we fight now? Li Changsheng said plainly with a hint of sarcasm in his voice. The other party had a team of elite cavalry, and they still needed time to build up their power. In comparison, Li Changsheng was only one person, and he seemed to be more at ease. He had the demeanor of a cultivator. He's waiting for the other party to finish building up their power. He's so arrogant. I wonder what trump card he has. Maybe he doesn't know how powerful the king of Sacred Mountain's deputy is. He thinks that the other party is just a deputy and underestimates him. The eyes of the king of Sacred Mountain's deputy were filled with anger. Li Changsheng's words were undoubtedly mocking him. Boom, 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 rumble. The other party finally couldn't help but attack. His sword brought a flash of light as it slashed at Li Changsheng. The cavalry behind him shouted. The powerful aura was enough to make one's expression change. This was the true power of a battle formation. It was even more shocking and intimidating. Boom! The ardent dragon spear in Li Changsheng's hand suddenly pierced out, and a terrifying aura swept out like a tsunami. The deputy general in the lead almost instantly exploded into a cloud of blood mist under the aura, and the army formation behind him was in disarray from the impact, with casualties everywhere. He defeated the enemy with one move. I used this move casually. It seems to be effective. I'll call it the Army Destroyer. Li Changsheng smiled faintly. At the same time, he looked up at the king of Sacred Mountain on the city wall. He raised the ardent dragon spear in his hand and aimed it at the other party. Keep your men in check, or you'll be the next one to die. You have a death wish. No matter how well-mannered the king of Sacred Mountain was, he couldn't help but fly into a rage at that moment. He put his hands on the city wall and glared at Li Changsheng. The murderous intent in his eyes was so strong that the air around them seemed to have frozen. Dense cavalry appeared from all directions and sealed off the area. They were all the king of Sacred Mountain's subordinates. The king of Sacred Mountain gripped the sword at his waist, ready to fight himself. A battle was about to break out. Chapter 842. Please calm down, King of the Sacred Mountain. The city lord said in a low voice. The war between the good and evil is imminent, and this Li Changsheng was able to break the army formation with a single strike of his spear. If he's not an earth immortal, it's impossible for him to do that. Once the war starts, the consequences will be unimaginable. Upon hearing the city lord's words, the king of the Sacred Mountain only snorted coldly. So what if he's an earth immortal? I can still kill him. Yes, I know you're very powerful, king of the Sacred Mountain, but the city is full of people who want to fish in troubled waters. Once a war like this breaks out, many people with ulterior motives will definitely take the opportunity to stir up the situation. If anything goes wrong, I won't be able to explain myself. As a city lord, I can't just sit back and watch a war like this happen. I beg you, king of the Sacred Mountain, to give me some face and kill him after we leave the city. The king of the Sacred Mountain slammed his palm on the city wall, causing the entire city's formation to shake. The city lord's face turned pale. Only now did he realize how terrifying the king of the Sacred Mountain was. If he didn't have such a sensitive identity as the city lord, he wouldn't be qualified to stand side by side with the king of the Sacred Mountain. King of the Sacred Mountain, please give me some face and spare his life for the time being. Besides, Great U City will be your capital after you establish your kingdom. You don't want to see it destroyed in a war, do you? Fine. Finally, the king of the Sacred Mountain took a deep breath, suppressing the anger in his heart, and coldly spat out a single word. He uttered coldly, "Let him live for a few more hours." As soon as he finished speaking, he whispered to the other deputy general beside him, "Open up a path." Yes, the deputy general nodded. Soon, the soldiers who surrounded Li Changsheng and the others slowly dispersed. The spectators, who had been waiting for a great battle to break out, looked at the tower in confusion, thinking, the king of the Sacred Mountain is famous for being arrogant and despotic. Why is he tolerating the death of his lieutenant today? Someone who knew the whole story and could see through the current situation explained, Great Yu's royal city is guarded by a city lord. If something goes wrong, the city lord will not be able to answer to the power behind him. So, the Sacred Mountain King wants to use the city lord's help to make peace so that Great Yu's royal city will return to his hands and be used as the capital of his future kingdom. There are more than a dozen powers behind the city lord, including the 3 sacred lands. Even the Sacred Mountain King dares not to mess with him, so naturally, he will not ruin the deal with the city lord just because of the death of a deputy general. Of course, the boy who killed the deputy general will only live for a few more hours. Li Changsheng and the others had left Great Yu City and were now rushing toward Heaven Capital Peak. In this battle between good and evil, rewards would be given out based on contributions. Those with outstanding contributions would be given land. The structure of Heaven Capital Planet had not changed for thousands of years. Now, whether it was establishing a sect or a dynasty, it was a great opportunity to enjoy the glory and wealth of the mortal world. Someone is following us secretly. Reverend Zishan's face was full of worry. Although the Sacred Mountain King did not take action at that time, everyone knew that the crisis was not over yet. Azure Divine Lord is here. Many disciples of Cloud Dynasty sect had unsightly faces. Yuan Chushue and Chun Ling clenched their fists. In Great Yu City, Azure Divine Lord had wanted to take action several times. Now that they were out of the city, they were afraid that he would not be able to hold back. Sure enough, after catching up with Li Changsheng and the others, Azure Divine Lord did not continue his journey. Instead, he kept a distance between them, like a lion aiming at its prey, ready to strike at any time. Divine Lord, why do you need to take action personally to deal with a junior? A man appeared next to Azure Divine Lord with a fawning face. Many people recognized the man's identity. This man's name is Zhan Yu. He used to be a genius on par with Azure Divine Lord. Unfortunately, Azure Divine Lord had stepped into the Earth Immortal Realm early, while he was still stuck at the peak of the Finger Profound Realm. I heard that this man has always been on good terms with Azure Divine Lord. It seems that he wants to help Azure Divine Lord. The man named Zhan Yu walked towards the direction of Yinchao Zone. This man had an imposing appearance and a height of 9 meters. He had an extraordinary temperament. As soon as he walked over, Yinchao Zone and the others all tensed up. This was definitely a strong enemy. Who among you dares to disrespect Azure Divine Lord? Get out here and die. After the man walked over, he said in a cold voice. His eyes locked onto Li Changsheng, and he did not hide the killing intent in his eyes. The people of Cloud Dynasty sect all stopped and clenched the weapons in their hands. The man's aura was too strong. Apart from Reverend Zishan, who could barely keep calm, the others were all nervous. I am Yuan Chushue, the daughter of the White Robe sect's leader. If you dare to attack Li Changsheng, you are going against my White Robe sect and Cloud Dynasty sect. The White Robe sect and Cloud Dynasty sect had 5 or 6 finger profound realm experts. They were indeed a force to be reckoned with. However, Zhan Yu only sneered disdainfully. You dare to threaten me with 2 second-rank sects. You really don't know what's good for you. The man took a step forward. Under the terrifying aura, Yuan Chushue took 3 steps back. Her face was pale. Many people who were watching the show were secretly shocked. Just as aura alone could cause such an effect. Such strength was absolutely terrifying. What's the point of bullying a weak girl? Li Changsheng pulled Yuan Chushue behind him and stared straight at Zhan Yu. I don't know your name, so I'll call you a lackey. You were disrespectful to my friend just now. Kneel down and kowtow 3 times, and I can forgive you. As soon as Li Changsheng finished speaking, everyone's eyes widened. Zhan Yu's eyes were filled with anger. You're courting death. The long sword in his hand was unsheathed, and a cold, killing intent raged on the spot. Obviously, he was angered by Li Changsheng and was about to attack. Everyone held their breath because a shocking battle was about to happen. After all, although Zhan Yu was not in the Earth Celestial Realm, He was definitely one of the people who were infinitely close to the Earth's celestial realm. He could break through at any time. Whoosh! The sword radiance scattered and slashed directly at Li Changsheng. However, before it could get close, the scorching dragon spear whizzed out and broke the sword radiance. The remaining power bombarded the man's chest. Boom! In an instant, Zhang Yu hurriedly dodged, but his shoulder was still pierced by the sword radiance. His body flew back more than 10 meters, and he kept vomiting blood. The onlookers were horrified. Zhang Yu was at the peak of the finger profound realm, infinitely close to the Earth's celestial realm, but he couldn't withstand a single blow. Li Changxing's strength made many people tremble. Boy, out of the city, without the restrictions of the city rules. Let's see who can save you. Divine Lord Greenwood stood out. If you want to fight, go ahead. I've been annoyed by you for a long time. Li Changsheng held the golden spear in his hand. He was majestic and didn't show any weakness. His aura was extremely powerful, and it was not weaker than Divine Lord Greenwood's. Divine Lord Greenwood couldn't help but frown. Facing Li Changsheng, he suddenly felt uneasy. Chapter 843. Brother Greenwood, I heard that an honored guest of small second-grade sect is very arrogant. Do you need my help? A white-robed figure appeared in the distant sky. He was holding a folding fan and looked elegant. He was looking at Li Changsheng with a sneer. Young Master Jade Face. Someone recognized the other party's identity. So it's Brother Jade Face. You came just in time. Sir God Greenwood's originally nervous heart was completely relaxed. It's not just me. A few of my brothers are here too. As soon as young Master Jade Face finished speaking, there was a roar of strange beasts. A group of people riding strange beasts rushed over. The 5 people in front had the strongest aura. They were not weaker than young Master Jade Face, and were only slightly weaker than Sir God Greenwood. Although the others were not as strong as these 5 people, they were not ordinary either. They were all in the Finger Profound realm. More than 20 Finger Profound realm experts stood together. Their aura alone was enough to change the wind and clouds in the sky. Looking at these people, Sir God Greenwood could not help but laugh. With these people coming to help, they were equivalent to 2 or 3 Earth Immortal Realm experts. These are the friends he had made over the years. They used to be on equal footing with him. After he broke through to the Earth Immortal Realm, the gap between them widened. None of them were mediocre. Many people around felt sorry for Li Changsheng. Yun Chao's sect and the others were already in despair. With so many people joining forces, how could they fight? It seemed that there was no hope at all. Many people looked at Li Changsheng with resentment. They thought that Li Changsheng had attracted such a strong enemy. Finally, the sect leader of Yin Chao's sect, Sage Zishan, took a step forward and said loudly, I now officially announce that Li Changsheng is no longer an honored guest of Yin Chao's sect. Yin Chao's sect has nothing to do with him. Chunling Bai Chuan, and many disciples who were on Li Changsheng's side were stunned. Drawing a clear line with Li Changsheng at this time, isn't this hitting him when he is down? Sect leader, how can you do this? Chunling questioned. She was very disappointed. I have to be responsible for the sect, so this is something that can't be helped. Sage Zishan's old face turned red. Such behavior was disgraceful. Cloud Dynasty's sect master is indeed wise. Emperor Greenwood said with a complacent smile. He was very satisfied with the result. He watched the people who were against him betray him and were eventually trampled to death. Brat, even your sect doesn't want you anymore. This is the result of provoking me. Do you regret it now? Sir God Greenwood said with a sneer. Beside him, Jade-faced young master said coldly, I'm afraid he's scared to death in his heart. As long as he has a chance to live, he would be willing to kneel down and beg for mercy. The people behind him laughed wildly. Everyone's eyes were filled with mockery as they looked at Li Changsheng. In their eyes, Li Changsheng was a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Li Changsheng only looked at them coldly. He was a little disappointed with Cloud Dynasty sect. He treated these people's provocations as dog barks. I'm afraid this kid has already been scared silly. A man was riding an exotic beast, circling Li Changsheng in circles, showing off his prowess. You talk a lot of nonsense. The scorching dragon spear in his hand pierced through the man's chest. The man spat out blood and fell heavily to the ground. He had lost his vitality. Li Changsheng took action without hesitation. The man had no chance to react and died an unnatural death. As the man's body fell heavily to the ground, the smell of blood began to spread. Li Changsheng held the spear that was still dripping with blood and looked at Emperor Greenwood and the others quietly. He didn't make any unnecessary movements, but a tragic aura had already arisen spontaneously. How dare you kill people in front of so many of us? It seems that you really don't know how to write the word death. Emperor Greenwood's eyes were cold. The people who came to help slowly surrounded Li Changsheng. All kinds of powerful auras rose and locked onto Li Changsheng. These people were all from sects above the 7th grade. They were the talents of each sect. This time, they were going to participate in the battle between good and evil. Some of them even brought the heirloom treasures of their sections. At this moment, a dangerous aura emanated from them. Such a group was enough to kill an earthly immortal. Kid, kneel down and kowtow. Maybe I'll spare your life if I'm in a good mood and let you be my servant. Emperor Greenwood's face was ferocious. Come at me together. In my eyes, you're just a group of wild dogs. Li Changsheng said flatly, completely infuriating the other party. Attack! Jade-faced Master ordered. All kinds of attacks immediately flew out, covering half of the sky and drowning Li Changsheng. Under such an attack, the space around Li Changsheng became chaotic almost instantly. Cracks appeared on the ground, and the people of the Cloud Dynasty sect hurriedly retreated. Only Qinlinger, Yuan Chuxue, and Bai Chuan stood side by side with Li Changsheng. However, under such spells, their faces were pale and their eyes were filled with despair. Under such attacks, even an earthly immortal wouldn't be able to withstand and would be blasted to pieces. In the next second, Li Changsheng took out the mountain that he refined from ancient demon sect. It grew to 1,000 feet in the air and blocked all the attacks. At the same time, he dragged the black mountain and flew into the air. Standing in the air, he looked coldly at the people who attacked. You can actually block our attacks. Looks like you have some skills. Jade-faced Master waved the folding fan in his hand. Although he looked calm, he was actually very shocked. No wonder you dare to speak so arrogantly. It turns out that you have something to rely on. That was just an appetizer. Next, I'll let you taste the taste of the main course. As soon as Jade-faced Master finished speaking, Li Changsheng had already smashed down the mountain in his hand from the sky without waiting for them to attack. Rumble! The weight of the mountain was terrifying. When it fell from the sky, it carried a strong impact and set off an endless gale. Bang, 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 bang. Under the mountain, 5 experts exploded into a mist of blood. They didn't even have time to scream. Li Changsheng lifted the mountain again and charged forward. The weight of the mountain was too great. Those who touched it would die, and those who touched it would be injured. In the blink of an eye, another 7 experts were killed. 1/3 of the group of more than 20 people was gone. The ground was littered with broken limbs, and the smell of blood permeated the air. The people who witnessed this scene all trembled, feeling endlessly shocked. Eat my move. Jade-faced Master finally couldn't help but attack. The folding fan in his hand brought up a gale and formed a tornado that swept towards Li Changsheng. In the next second, Li Changsheng pushed the mountain forward and smashed the folding fan into pieces. The remaining force didn't reduce as it smashed towards Jade-faced Master. Jade-faced Master quickly retreated a few hundred meters. The place where he was just now had a huge crater and the ground was shaking. This person is actually so terrifying. Jade-faced Master looked at Li Changsheng in shock. He felt a little uneasy and was no longer as calm as before. Again, Li Changsheng activated the seal of mountains and rivers and activated the mountain in his hand. The combination of the seal of mountains and rivers displayed an unparalleled power as it smashed towards Jade-faced Master. Jade-faced Master kept dodging, but was still accidentally hit. His body was sent flying a few hundred meters. When he landed on the ground, He didn't know how many bones were broken. Blood was spat out as his eyes were finally filled with fear. In the next second, the Black Mountain smashed down again. Jade-faced Master was shocked to find that the space around him had been sealed. He couldn't dodge, and his eyes were filled with despair. Help! Chapter 844. Jade-faced Master was really scared. Li Chongqing was too terrifying. He was a devil. Although the Black Evil Mountain had not been completely refined into a magic treasure, with its great weight, it was definitely an invincible weapon in Li Chongqing's hands. He stood in midair, and the Black Evil Mountain was flying around like a toy. But only those who had personally experienced the power of the Black Evil Mountain knew how terrifying it was in Li Chongqing's hands. Rumble! A casual blow could sink the earth and shatter the void. It was truly devastating. One of the 5 experts who came later wanted to help, but in the next second, the upper half of his body exploded. Only his legs fell from the sky, and blood splattered across the sky. Li Chongqing's hair fluttered, and he was like a devil. Since he had started killing, he would not hold back. Wherever he passed, flesh and blood splattered. No one was his match. He's a devil. In the blink of an eye, there were only a dozen experts left. They were pushed all the way by Li Chongqing. Finally, someone was scared out of his wits and began to escape. But it was not that easy. The Black Evil Mountain fell and swept across. Let's join forces. The remaining 4 experts who came later gathered their genuine chi together to form a huge shield pattern. However, it was smashed by the Black Evil Mountain, and the 4 of them were crushed into a bloody mist at the same time. Rumble! A large white umbrella sprinkled down 10,000 rays of light, blocking Li Chongqing's Black Fiend Mountain. It was a magic treasure with powerful defense. His strength lies in the mountain. Now that the mountain is entangled, it's a good time to kill him. Jade-faced Master shouted loudly. The people who had fled in all directions hesitated for a moment. At the same time, they chose to return and attack Li Chongqing again. At the same time, Sir God Greenwood, who had been waiting for an opportunity at the side, also took action. He cast a dead tree in the air and directly attacked Li Chongqing. In an instant, the void around Li Chongqing was imprisoned. Die! Sir God Greenwood kept pushing his magic power. Li Chongqing felt as if his body was bound by countless shackles, unable to move. Many people looked excited, thinking that this was the best time to kill Li Chongqing. Countless magic treasures fell towards Li Chongqing, and the surroundings became a sea of spells. The spectators retreated again and again, as if doomsday had arrived. Li Chongqing raised his head and stared at the withered tree. This was a very strange magical artifact that could control the power of space. Rumble! While Li Chongqing was observing the dead tree, all kinds of attacks were approaching. Some people didn't even hesitate to activate their magic tools to self-destruct. They were willing to pay a huge price just to kill Li Chongqing. This was definitely a terrifying scene. The energy continued to churn, and the area within a radius of several dozen kilometers turned into chaos. All sorts of astral winds were formed. The energy was like a tsunami, wave after wave, each wave stronger than the last. No matter how strong he is, he should have died. Taoist Zishan muttered to himself. Chun Linger had been sent to the periphery by Li Chongqing in advance. At this moment, her face was filled with sorrow. Mr. was originally a genius. If he could have kept a low profile and broken through to the Earth Immortal stage, he would have become an existence no weaker than the king of the Sacred Mountain. Even Sir God Greenwood would have to be respectful when he sees him. Unfortunately, he was too high profile, which led to this disaster. Chun Linger's master, Xiong Yu Jing, sighed. However, as soon as he finished speaking, a figure rushed out of the chaos. He raised his hand and grabbed the dead tree. All kinds of energy under his feet were shattered into pieces as soon as they came within 3 feet of his body. He was invulnerable. How could this be? He's unscathed under such an attack. Everyone was horrified. Sir God Greenwood sneered. How could my void tree be taken away so easily? Sure enough, in the next second, ripples formed on the withered tree, and green branches appeared on Li Changxing's hands and feet, trapping him in the air in the shape of the Chinese character. The green branches and leaves were actually formed from strands of void laws. Great void technique. Li Changxing was also surprised. It was said that at the beginning of the world and the chaos, there were 3,000 great ways, 3,000 heterodox ways, and 3,000 minor ways. There were a total of 9,000. The Great Void technique was ranked at the top of the 3,000 minor ways. When cultivated to the highest level, it could evolve into one of the most mysterious ways of the 3,000 great ways, the way of space. He's been imprisoned. Everyone kill him quickly. Sir God Greenwood was the first to bear the brunt. A wooden sword turned into a green light and pierced Li Changxing's chest. At this point in the battle, he was also afraid of Li Changxing. He knew that Li Changxing was a peerless enemy. If he couldn't kill Li Changxing today, he might be the one to die if they met somewhere else in the future. Whoosh! All kinds of celestial artifacts fell like a storm. Break for me! A faceless head flew out from the heavily injured, jade-faced master's glabella. Its hair was more than 100 feet long, and it wrapped around Li Changxing. Once this move was used, there was an uproar. This was the origin of Jade-Faced Master's name. The most powerful killing move of the cultivation technique he learned was the Faceless Head, which was a mental attack. Wherever the head passed, no matter if it was violent energy or powerful celestial artifacts, nothing could touch it. This was the horror of mental attacks. It could ignore physical attacks. However, in the next second, a golden sword flew out from Li Changxing's glabella and pierced into the faceless head. Ah! Jade-Faced Master held his head and kept rolling on the ground. The faceless head was the manifestation of his mental strength. However, it was destroyed by Li Changxing, causing irreparable damage to him. Crack! Li Changxing slowly retracted his arms and broke the power of the rules of the void. At the same time, a ruler flew out from the top of his head and blocked all the attacks. Black Fiend Mountain rose into the sky and smashed down rapidly. 7 to 8 profound Finger Realm experts exploded one after another. The most shocked person was Sir God Azurewood. He felt that he had lost control of the Voidwood. No! Black Fiend Mountain smashed down and smashed Jade-Faced Master, who had recovered with great difficulty, into pieces. Then, Li Changxing swallowed the Voidwood in his hand. In an instant, there was a loud roar from his body, and his entire body became illusory. What is he doing? Refining the opponent's celestial artifact on the spot? Sir God Azurewood's eyes were about to burst. The Voidwood was extremely precious. He had obtained it by chance, and it was an item for him to prove his Tao in the future. If Li Changxing were to refine it, it would be a great loss to him. In the next second, he rushed towards Li Changxing without caring about anything else. He wanted to stop Li Changxing from refining it. Everyone, let's attack together. This person is courting death. He is refining my celestial artifact during the battle. It is the best time to kill him. Sir God Azurewood roared. Unfortunately, no one listened to him. They were delighted and felt that it was a good time to escape. They fled in all directions. A bunch of short-sighted guys. Sir God Azurewood snorted. He grabbed the green wooden sword in his hand and slashed out crisscrossing sword radiance towards Li Changxing. Chapter 845. Li Changxing's body emitted a thunder-like roar, as if a river was surging and a deity was beating a drum. He was forcibly refining the wood of void. On the surface of his body, the power of rules of the void kept flashing, and his whole body became illusory. Holding the wooden sword, Sir God Greenwood stabbed at Li Changxing's glabella. He wanted to kill Li Changxing completely, while Li Changxing was refining the wood of void. Boom! Li Changxing suddenly raised his head, and his black hair danced wildly. He opened his mouth and let out a long roar. His roar went straight to the sky and pierced the void. The powerful force stirred the clouds and the sky into pieces. Then, the thunder-like roar in his body suddenly stopped, and his whole body became solid again. How is this possible? He actually refined the wood of void. Crack! Li Changxing reached out and grabbed the flying wooden sword. He squeezed it hard, and countless cracks appeared on the wooden sword. Then it broke into pieces and floated down from the sky. Poochie! Sir God Greenwood's body flew backward quickly. His face was as pale as paper, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. His whole face was filled with horror. Li Changxing's body turned into a shadow in the sky and chased after him. He raised his fist and punched repeatedly. Sir God Greenwood could only resist without any strength to fight back. His body was almost broken, and he did not dare to fight with Li Changxing again. He ran away desperately. Everyone below was stunned, especially the people of Cloud Dynasty sect. They felt it was unbelievable. He beat up an Earth Immortal. Isn't Honorable Li too powerful? Sage Zishan was dumbfounded. He is no longer an honorable guest. He has been expelled from Cloud Dynasty sect. Yuan Shushua said angrily. She was very ashamed of Cloud Dynasty sect's action of getting rid of a donkey after it had outlived its usefulness. Qinling didn't say anything, but her gaze towards Taoist Master Zishan was filled with disappointment. Taoist Zishan rubbed his nose awkwardly, feeling helpless in his heart. If he was alone, he might have the guts to risk his life and death with Li Changxing. However, he had to be responsible for the other disciples of his sect. He couldn't possibly lose the lives of so many disciples just because of a single Li Changxing. Li Changxing threw out a few punches in the air, causing the Azure Gate Divine Lord's body to shatter. His skin cracked, and he was covered in blood. The last punch will take your life. Li Changxing's voice came from the 9 heavens, mighty and majestic. When he raised his fist, a terrifying power gathered on his fist. Please spare my life. Divine Emperor Greenwood's pleading voice could be heard. At this moment, he was truly afraid. Li Changxing was simply too terrifying. If he did not beg for mercy, he would completely disappear from this world. Would begging be of any use? Obviously, it was. Li Changxing shook his head. I didn't mean to provoke you. It was you who bullied me time and time again. You only have yourself to blame for everything that happened today. As he spoke, his fist had already landed. Stop! At this moment, there was a tremor in the void, and a huge palm met Li Changxing's fist. Bang! Both parties clashed. Li Changxing's fist force was instantly neutralized. An old man appeared. At the same time, several figures rushed over from the distant sky. Master! Divine Emperor Greenwood did not look like a human at this moment. However, when he saw the old man, he exclaimed in surprise with tears streaming down his face. Master, you're finally here. If you were any later, I wouldn't have been able to see you again. The person who came was Divine Emperor Greenwood's master, Taoist Huasu. Li Changxing's first impression of Taoist Huasu was that he had a strong grasp of the void rules of order. Taoist Huasu is the sect master of an 8th grade sect that is second only to the 3 sanctuaries. It is said that his cultivation is close to the peak of the Earth Immortal realm. Someone in the crowd exclaimed, Divine Emperor Greengate is already in the Earth Immortal realm at such a young age. His sect is naturally not simple. Friend, Greenwood is the top true disciple of the Shuangguang sect. How did he offend you? Why are you so ruthless? Are you looking down on the Shuangguang sect? Taoist Huasu's voice was dignified as he looked straight at Li Changxing. As someone who was close to the peak of the Earth Immortal realm, he was already a top expert in the world. Naturally, he had the confidence of a top expert. Your disciple has repeatedly caused trouble for me and tried to kill me. I'm just giving him a taste of his own medicine. What's wrong with that? Li Changxing sneered. Taoist Huasu did not even ask what his disciple had done. Instead, he criticized him without reason. Even if my disciple was in the wrong first, you should spare him whenever possible. It's wrong for you to want to kill him. Haha, requite evil with good. How should I requite good? Li Changxing's eyes were cold. He raised his hand and suddenly hit Divine Emperor Greenwood. He actually wanted to kill Taoist Huasu's disciple in front of him. Save me. Divine Emperor Greenwood let out a terrifying voice. Friend, I'll give you a chance. Stop immediately. Otherwise, Don't blame me for being impolite. Taoist Hua Su's face was gloomy. A few figures had arrived behind him. They were all elders of the Shuangguang sect. They were also heading to Capital Sky Peak to participate in the battle between good and evil. Originally, they were on the same path as Divine Emperor Greenwood. However, Divine Emperor Greenwood said that he wanted to find some friends to reminisce about the past. Thus, Taoist Hua Su split up with them. As long as Divine Emperor Green Gate did not encounter experts from the three holy lands, almost no one could hurt him. However, he did not expect to encounter a freak like Li Changsheng. I must kill him today. Li Changsheng's fist did not stop. It seems like you won't accept the chance I've given you. The void behind Taoist Hua Su trembled. Clearly, he was really angry. Li Changsheng did not answer him. Instead, his fist smashed down mercilessly. This kid is arrogant. He doesn't even give face to Taoist Hua Su. He thinks he can be lawless just because he can defeat Divine Emperor Greenwood. I'm afraid he's going to be unlucky. Who are you? How dare you be rude to our sect master? An elder behind Taoist Hua Su reprimanded loudly. Li Changsheng's fist suddenly stopped. It seems like you've thought it through. Taoist Hua Su smiled faintly. The reason why he had not made a move yet was because Li Changsheng looked to be about the same age as Divine Emperor Greenwood. However, his strength was terrifying. He was afraid that there was some impressive sect inheritance behind him. Although the three holy lands were revered in the current world, other than the three holy lands, there were also crouching tigers and hidden dragons among the itinerant cultivators. There were impressive figures living in seclusion. Just as his smile surfaced, Li Changsheng's fist suddenly changed direction and struck at the elder who had just spoken. Whoosh! With a punch, the fist force was like a tsunami. It was earth-shattering. The elder did not expect Li Changsheng to suddenly attack him. Before he could react, he was hit. Immediately after, his body split open from the middle with a poochie sound. He turned into a bloody mist and floated down from the sky. A small elder dares to spit at me? You really don't know what death is. Li Changsheng withdrew his fist. However, the scene was already silent. Too arrogant, and scrupulous and lawless. Taoist Hua Su's eyes were already filled with killing intent. Li Changsheng's actions were completely looking down on him. It was no different from slapping his face in front of everyone. You killed an elder of my Shuangguang sect in front of me. Kid, there's no way we can be kind today. Taoist Hua Su slowly pulled out the sword in his hand. He had already decided to attack. Chapter 846. This brat is too arrogant. If we don't kill him, where will the dignity of our Shuangguang sect be? The 6 elders locked down the void around Li Changsheng and formed a formation to prevent Li Changsheng from escaping. Seriously injuring my sect's core disciple, speaking arrogant words, and challenging the dignity of our Shuangguang sect. Friend, I don't care where your master is from. If I kill you today, even if your sect's elders come looking for me in the future, I will still be justified. Spiritual Master Hua Su had completely pulled out the sword in his hand. The sword was shining with a sharp light. It was definitely a great killing weapon. It seems that I have to send you and your disciple to hell today. Li Changsheng said coldly. Arrogant. Do you think you are a Tao reunion perfected immortal? You don't even know that you are about to die. An elder reprimanded coldly. Our Shuangguang sect is an 8th grade sect second only to the 3 holy lands on the Tian capital star. How can an ignorant brat like you provoke us? Li Changsheng held the ardent dragon spear in his hand. His body was filled with fighting spirit, and a mysterious aura was circulating around him. This was a strange phenomenon caused by comprehending the rules of the void after refining the void wood. Cut the crap. Make your move. Aren't you afraid of my sect? To tell you the truth, I don't have a master. I am a self-taught genius. Li Changsheng said indifferently. Huh. The surrounding people shook their heads. If self-taught geniuses had such strength, how could they, the disciples of sects with thousands of years of history, endure it? However, Li Changsheng still refused to reveal his sect. It was very likely that he was a rogue cultivator. Although there were extremely powerful rogue cultivators, they were ultimately weak. Since you are so stubborn, I have no choice but to kill you. The killing intent in spiritual master Hua Su's eyes grew stronger and stronger. If you want to make a move, just do it. There is no need to put on an act. Li Changsheng snorted coldly. In the next moment, the ardent dragon spear in his hand pierced through the void and attacked the nearest elder. After refining the void wood, Li Changsheng's use of the rules of the void space had reached a terrifying level. The spear did not give the other party any time to react and directly pierced the other party's forehead. Bang! The opponent's head exploded, and a headless corpse fell from the sky. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air and widened their eyes. You dare to besiege me with such strength? Li Changsheng's mouth was filled with disdain. The remaining 5 elders quickly retreated, putting some distance between them and Li Changsheng. Their eyes were filled with vigilance. Only now did they realize how dangerous Li Changsheng was. In such a short distance, they didn't even have the chance to resist. You killed 2 elders of my profound light sect. If I don't kill you, even the heavens will not tolerate it. Taoist Master Void Transformation said in a deep voice. Seeing Li Changsheng's battle prowess, his eyelids twitched violently, and fear rose in his heart. The void wood that his disciple had obtained had been refined by Li Changsheng. This meant that Li Changsheng could ignore distance, and his speed would reach the pinnacle. Even he would find it difficult to deal with him. You elders sealed the void and wanted to wrap me up like a dumpling. If I don't kill you, should I wait for you to kill me? Li Changsheng's killing intent surged like a tide. Facing venerable Hua Su, an expert who was close to the peak of the Earth Immortal stage, he didn't have the slightest intention of retreating. Those who oppose me, Li Changsheng, will die. When these words came out, it was like thunder on a clear day, shocking everyone. He raised the ardent dragon spear and locked it on venerable Hua Su's body. A powerful force was brewing. Then try taking a move from me. Venerable Hua Su finally made his move. The sword slashed down, cutting the air in half. A surging force surged out as if it was splitting the sky and the earth. Hula! Wherever the sword light passed, the void shattered, and chaotic energy surged. The energy in the air constantly exploded, mercilessly cutting towards Li Changsheng. This was definitely a powerful opponent. He was close to the peak of the Earth Immortal stage, and his every move had the power to split a mountain. This made Li Changsheng's expression turn solemn. A venerable Hua Su was stronger than 3 divine monarchs. This was one of the strongest enemies Li Changsheng had ever encountered, as expected of the sect master of an 8th-rank sect. However, in the next second, the ardent dragon spear turned into a golden sun and blocked the opponent's attack. At the same time, the mountain and river ruler, Black Fiend Mountain, and the soul gathering banner flew out at the same time. The mountain and river ruler turned the sky into chaos, surging like a wave. The soul gathering banner gently swayed, and streams of black chi flew towards Taoist Master Void Transformation, causing him to feel as if his soul was being torn apart. His face was filled with shock. The Black Fiend Mountain carried an incomparable power and directly charged over. Venerable Hua Su dodged with a somersault in the air. The Black Fiend Mountain smashed into the ground, and a deep pit that was a few hundred meters deep appeared. Dust flew everywhere. Li Changsheng used all his trump cards and even transformed into the indestructible fiend god body. With a punch, he sent Venerable Hua Su flying a few hundred meters away. After suffering Li Changsheng's attack, Venerable Hua Su's expression finally changed. He directly picked up his disciple, Divine Monarch Greenwood, and turned into a ray of light to escape. At this moment, everyone was dumbfounded. Venerable Hua Su, the sect master of an 8th-rank sect, who was close to the peak of the Earth Immortal realm, was actually beaten to the point of fleeing for his life. The remaining 5 elders were completely numb, and their bodies stiffened. What should they do now that the sect master had escaped? As expected, Li Changxing looked over with a faint smile. The five of them felt as if they had fallen into an ice cellar, and a huge fear rose from their hearts. Spare us! Spare us! One of them just spoke. Unfortunately, Li Changxing didn't give him a chance to continue. The mountain and river ruler fell, and the five of them were beaten into 5 clouds of blood mist. The wind whistled in the sky. Li Changxing stood there, becoming an eternal existence between heaven and earth. He actually won. Venerable Zishan felt her mind go blank. She couldn't believe this fact. Li Changxing defeated the sect master of an 8th-rank sect. Perhaps only the people of the 3 holy lands could compete with him. Li Changxing's cultivation was only at the peak of the profound realm, and he hadn't broken through to the earth immortal realm. If she hadn't expelled him, he would still be a foreign dignitary of the Cloud Dynasty sect. Once Li Changxing broke through to the earth immortal realm, his combat strength would be comparable to the sect masters of the 3 holy lands. With such a foreign dignitary in the Cloud Dynasty sect, it would be able to restore its former glory. Not to mention a 6th-rank sect, even an 8th-rank sect would have a chance. It was such a person that she had drawn a clear line between herself and him. At this moment, Venerable Zishan fell into great regret, and she couldn't wait to slap herself. At that time, the disciples and elders of the Cloud Dynasty sect who thought Li Changxing had provoked a strong enemy and would implicate them felt extremely complicated. The Cloud Dynasty sect is really amazing, drawing a clear line just like that. They really have eyes, but can't see. Yin Yuan Chuxue was stifled by the Cloud Dynasty sect's action of revoking Li Changxing's foreign dignitary position. At this moment, she couldn't help but mock, and her mood was very good. Chunling kept her mouth shut, but the shock in her heart was more than anyone else. She was the first person to know Li Changxing. At that time, she thought he was just an ordinary youth who went up the mountain with her to become a disciple. Who would have thought that the current Li Changxing had reached a level where she could only look up to him? Suddenly, her eyes showed some sadness. The gap between Li Changxing and herself seemed to be getting bigger and bigger. This gap made her feel that she and Li Changxing had become people of 2 different worlds, which was very bad. Chapter 847. Li Changxing didn't chase after Reverend Hua, Su, and Reverend Greenwood. They would definitely head to Heavenly Capital Peak during the war, and Li Changxing could wait for them there. His top priority now was to break through to the Earth Immortal realm as soon as possible. Today's victory over Taoist Master Void Transformation seemed easy, but in reality, it was because he had refined the Void Wood, causing Li Changxing's speed to reach a strange and unpredictable level. Otherwise, if he met Taoist Master Void Transformation, he would inevitably have to fight a fierce battle. What's going on here? Why is the energy so crazy? The Lord of Great U City and King of Sacred Mountain were watching the sky from dozens of miles away. This time, the Lord of Great U City and King of Sacred Mountain had reached a deal in private. They would go to Heavenly Capital Peak with the King of Sacred Mountain and persuade the other major powers. If the King of Sacred Mountain made enough contributions after the war, he would be rewarded with Great U City. The King of Sacred Mountain had tried many times before this. Great U's Imperial City had a special meaning, so the other sacred lands had never agreed. Although the King of Sacred Mountain was powerful, he wasn't powerful enough to turn against the 3 sacred lands and countless other major powers. If you don't know which powers are in conflict, don't worry about them. The King of Sacred Mountain said indifferently. Many cultivator powers were hostile to each other. There were hundreds of thousands of cultivators heading to Heavenly Capital Peak from the southern domain, and many battles had happened along the way. They had long gotten used to it. Li Changxing descended from the sky and walked side by side with Yuan Chuxue and Chunling but clearly kept a distance from the people of Cloud Dynasty sect. Regarding this, Taoist Zishan could only bitterly smile. He knew that he had drawn a clear line between himself and Li Changxing back then. Now, it was already impossible for him to rope Li Changsheng in. Experts like him would naturally be arrogant. A few days later, they arrived at a city pass. It was said to be a frontier fortress of an ancient kingdom. In heavenly capital Starfield, ancient kingdoms were 10 times stronger than normal kingdoms, and their combat power was comparable to third-grade sections. In other words, although Cloud Dynasty sect could rule a country, it could only bow its head in front of an ancient kingdom. Ancient kingdoms had finger-profound realm generals overseeing them. Powerful ancient kingdoms even had Earth immortal realm experts. This city just happened to be on the path to capital Sky Peak from the southern mountain range. Hundreds of thousands of cultivators passed through here. Several nobles from the ancient country personally came to welcome the cultivators from all over the place. They were afraid that they would accidentally offend a power that they couldn't afford to offend. The Cloud Dynasty sect was only a second-rank sect. When they appeared, there was no need for the nobles of the ancient countries to receive them. Only a few generals from the imperial court came to receive them. Although their tone was respectful, most of the time, they treated them as equals. Upon seeing Li Changsheng and the others, he turned to Reverend Shan inquisitively. "Are these also disciples of your esteemed sect?" Daoist Zishan shook his head. He hoped that was the case, but unfortunately, he had already drawn a clear line between himself and Li Changsheng. When the other party heard that Li Changsheng and the others were not from the Cloud Dynasty sect, his expression immediately became a bit more arrogant. "There is a wasteland in the west of the city. It will be used as a temporary location. You can set up tents there and take care of your own food and accommodation." The people from the Cloud Dynasty sect were given a small courtyard while Li Changsheng and the others could only set up tents in the wasteland. It wasn't that the other party was looking down on them. It was just that the ancient country made corresponding arrangements according to the ranks of the various powers. Just as the other party finished speaking, a sudden roar resounded between heaven and earth. A cage descended from the sky and instantly trapped Li Changsheng, Yuan Chuxue, and Chunling. Reverend Hua Su, Divine Lord Greenwood, and 2 old men walked out of the void at the same time. The general in charge of receiving them was so scared that he hurriedly retreated. Even the nobles around them looked over. After not seeing him for a few days, Divine Lord Greenwood's injuries had actually recovered. His eyes were filled with killing intent that seemed to have materialized. The other 2 old men were also Earth Immortal Realm experts. My Profound Light sect is an 8th-rank sect. We have more than one Earth Immortal Realm expert. Li Changsheng, I have been waiting for you in front of the city for a long time. Reverend Hua Su said coldly. It turned out that he had been taking his disciple to treat her injuries for the past few days. At the same time, he had sent a secret message to the 2 supreme elders of the sect. The 2 supreme elders were both in the late stage of the Earth Immortal Realm. Their strength was not weaker than Reverend Hua Su. The 3 of them joining forces was already the strongest trump card of the Profound Light sect. It could be seen that the other party attached great importance to Li Changsheng and set up this killing trap to wash away their previous shame. If an ordinary person were to face such a lineup, they would probably lose the courage to resist on the spot. However, Li Changsheng's face did not change much. Originally, he wanted to settle his grudge with Reverend Hua Su after arriving at Sky Capital Peak. He didn't expect the other party to be so impatient. As expected, a villain takes revenge from morning till night. Li Changsheng suddenly smashed out a fist. The cage that enveloped him was instantly broken from the middle. Yuan Chuxue and Chunling were directly sent to the edge of the battlefield by Li Changsheng. Then, he looked at Reverend Hua Su. "That day, I let you run away. Today, you came to die. It seems that you're really tired of living." Reverend Hua Su sneered. "Kid, I didn't expect you to still be so stubborn at this time. However, just treat it as your last words. It's a pity that you're also a genius of a generation. Today, you'll die here. This is your fate." Boom! Li Changsheng did not waste any words and directly attacked. Behind him, the shadow of a fiend god appeared. When the fist landed, the fist energy surged. The sky collapsed and the earth caved in, enveloping Reverend Hua, Su, and the other three. Reverend Hua, Su's expression changed slightly. He waved the sword in his hand to form a sword domain. Bang! 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 Under the fist energy, the sword domain constantly shook, as if it would shatter at any time. The sword in Reverend Hua Su's hand let out a cracking sound. Dense cracks actually appeared on it. Reverend Hua Su's expression was very ugly. This sword had accompanied him in battle for many years, but now it was almost destroyed. As for the other two Grand Elders, their eyes were filled with shock. In the beginning, when they heard Reverend Hua Su say how powerful Li Changsheng was, they did not think much of it. They felt that Reverend Hua Su was exaggerating, but only at this moment did they understand that Reverend Hua Su was not lying at all. Divine Lord Azure took out a clay jar that emitted a terrifying power. He wanted to block Li Changsheng's fist energy. He had obtained this clay jar from an ancient ruin, and it possessed unfathomable power. The reason why Divine Lord Azure had such a cultivation level at such a young age was because he was blessed by the providence of this world. He had endless fortuitous encounters. If he had not met Li Changsheng, he would have been ranked in the top 10 among the younger generation of Tiandu planet. In the southern region, he was second only to the Sacred Mountain King. However, even though the master and disciple had joined forces, the sword domain still shattered with a bang. The sword in Reverend Hua Su's hand shattered into countless metal shavings that scattered and were completely destroyed. On the other hand, the clay jar suffered Li Changsheng's punch and spun in the air without any damage. This jar isn't bad. Li Changsheng laughed heartily. He transformed into a gigantic hand seal that reached out and grabbed the jar by force. Chapter 848. Give me back my jar. Divine Monarch Green shouted angrily. The wood of the void had been refined by Li Changsheng, and he was already traumatized. If Li Changsheng snatched the jar away, he would have nothing to rely on. Put it down. Spiritual Master Hua Su struck out with his palm, wanting to snatch the jar from Li Changsheng, but he was forced to retreat by Li Changsheng's ardent dragon spear. The jar was already in Li Changsheng's hand. Li Changsheng wiped it with his hand, and the divine splendor on it disappeared. It was refined in an instant. It seems that your Shuangguang sect thinks that giving me a piece of wood of the void is too light a gift, so you specially sent me this jar. You're too polite. I'll accept it then. Li Changsheng laughed loudly, and his hearty voice spread in all directions. Facing 4 Earth Immortal Stage experts, he still had the upper hand. This kind of divine talent shook the hearts of many people. Everyone looked at the figure in the sky, and their hearts were filled with shock. One person could fight against 4 Earth Immortal Stage experts. Most importantly, Li Changsheng was only at the peak of the profound finger realm. Fighting across realms was already very impressive, and fighting 4 across realms was even more unheard of. If you want to snatch it away, then so be it. You're going to die today anyway. Spiritual Master Hua Su suddenly sneered. Do you really think you can fight 4 alone? As soon as he finished speaking, the 2 Supreme Elders who were standing behind Spiritual Master Hua Su suddenly disappeared, and then walked out from the void behind Li Changsheng. Divine Monarch Green also took a position. The 4 of them locked in all directions, forming a cage and trapping Li Changsheng. What we did before was just to confuse you, so that we can completely seal off all directions so that you can't escape. Spiritual Master Hua Su stood opposite Li Changsheng. A gust of wind blew, and his clothes fluttered. A compass appeared in his hand, and it kept spinning. A mysterious aura spread out, and it seemed unfathomable. The space beneath his feet was constantly changing. The cool breeze blew his hair, emitting the sound of metal clashing. It was as if countless treasured swords were moving restlessly. You can tell me who your master is now. Otherwise, you will never have the chance to speak. Maybe your master has some relationship with our Shuangguang sect. Today, I will only cripple your cultivation and spare your life. Taoist Master Void Transformation stood in the air, the situation in his hands. In his eyes, Li Changsheng was already a turtle in a jar. In the end, you're just afraid that my master will come and find trouble with you. You keep saying that you're the sect leader of an 8th-rank sect and that you're so powerful, but you're actually a coward. It's a miracle that you're able to break through to the Earth celestial stage. You'll stop here in your life. Li Changsheng revealed a mocking smile as he mocked mercilessly. I do not have a master. You can attack without worry. Brat, it seems like you really don't have a good master. I'm afraid that when you die, there won't even be anyone to collect your corpse. Spiritual Master Hua Su shook his head. Sect Master, why waste your breath on him? Just kill him. One of the Supreme Elders had a bad temper. Yes, Master, today, even if he goes to heaven or hell, he can't escape from our hands. Kill him and take his treasures. He refined my wood of the void, and his body contains the law of the void. It's best to refine him into a cauldron of elixirs. It'll be a great supplement. Divine Lord Greenwood said loudly. Let's do it. Taoist Master Void Transformation's body was surrounded by light, and killing intent seeped out of his body. He turned into a sword light and slashed at Li Changsheng. As for the other three, Divine Lord Greenwood and the two Supreme Elders attacked almost at the same time. Li Changsheng held the Scorching Dragon Spear in his hand tightly. He also took out the Mountain River Ruler and the Black Devil Mountain at the same time. The soul-amassing banner fluttered behind him. Between his eyebrows, the true martial Godslayer sword was ready to launch a fierce attack at any time. Although he looked calm, he didn't dare to be careless in the face of 4 Earth Celestials. Die. A small needle as thin as a cow's hair appeared silently on Li Changsheng's back and stabbed straight at him. It was the Supreme Elder standing behind Li Changsheng. He had secretly released it. Humph! Li Changsheng seemed to have eyes on his back. He smashed the Scorching Dragon Spear backward and accurately blocked the thin needle. At the same time, he jumped up and kicked the Supreme Elder's chest. The Supreme Elder's body was kicked away like a kite with a broken string. He spat out a mouthful of blood. I'm going to kill you. The other party was a Grand Elder. After being sent flying by Li Changsheng's kick, he felt extremely humiliated. After stabilizing himself, he quickly rushed towards Li Changsheng. Li Changsheng couldn't help but be surprised. The Supreme Elder's combat strength didn't weaken much after being kicked by him. It seemed that everyone who could break through to the Earth Celestial stage was not simple. At this time, the other three's attacks also approached. Break! Li Changsheng took out the Mountain and River Ruler, and the chaotic chi filled the air. The Mountain and River Shadow smashed down and broke Spiritual Master Hua Su's sword light. At the same time, the Soul Gathering Banner blocked the attacks of Sir God Greenwood and the other Supreme Elder on Black Killing Mountain. The Scorching Dragon Spear in his hand smashed directly at the Supreme Elder who had attacked previously. Facing 4 Earth Celestial Stage experts, even Li Changsheng felt uncomfortable. Therefore, he could only look for a breakthrough. Rumble, 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 rumble. On the Scorching Dragon Spear, a red sun was blooming with divine brilliance, and a dragon was hissing. Li Changsheng released a terrifying power again. The Supreme Elder's expression changed drastically, and he quickly retreated. However, he still couldn't escape the Scorching Dragon Spear. Hurry up and help Elder Luo. Spiritual Master Hua Su shouted. After getting rid of the Mountain and River Ruler's attack, he rushed towards Li Changsheng. The other two also exerted their combat strength to the maximum. Finally, they barely managed to block the attack before Li Changsheng's Scorching Dragon Spear swept towards Elder Luo. However, under this spear, the 3 of them retreated a few steps at the same time and were actually at a disadvantage. Next, Li Changsheng pushed the Scorching Sun. The Scorching Dragon Spear's shadows were everywhere, and it was invincible. The resplendent light was like a stormy sea. A golden dragon, a golden sun, and all kinds of strange phenomena appeared behind Li Changsheng as though a divine domain had descended. Rumble! A thunderous sound reverberated in all directions. The 4 of them joined forces, but they were still no match for Li Changsheng's Scorching Dragon Spear. They kept retreating and spitting out blood as though it was free. All of them suffered serious injuries. The few of them looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. How terrifying was Li Changxing's combat strength. It made the four of them feel like they couldn't defeat him. When Li Changxing wielded the scorching dragon spear to his heart's content, he let out a long roar. His spear arts could shake the sun and moon. Slash! Divine Lord Azure Wood went berserk from the killing. His hands conjured the power of the void's laws and tore open a rift in the sky. He wanted to banish Li Changsheng to the depths of the eternal void. Li Changsheng pushed the mountain and river ruler to produce a rumbling sound as it smashed down. It was like a heavenly pillar descending from the sky. Everywhere it passed, everything transformed into the most primitive chaos Yuan Qi. It was astounding. The mountain and river ruler was a treasure artifact that had been completely refined by Li Changsheng. At that moment, it was simply earth-shattering when pushed. Bang! One of Divine Lord Azure Wood's arms exploded into a bloody mist as his body fell from the sky. He was nearly destroyed in body and soul. Take this! Perfected void transformation was the strongest existence among the four. He conjured a sword beam in his hand and slashed down at Li Changsheng. Li Changsheng stabbed out with the scorching dragon spear, shattering the sword beam and penetrating his shoulder. Blood splattered as perfected void transformation retreated dozens of feet. If he hadn't dodged in time, he would have perished if the spear had deviated a little and pierced his head. Standing in the air, he stared at Li Changsheng with a vigilant expression. He was somewhat regretful. If he had appeared and pleaded with Li Changsheng after seeing Divine Lord Azure Wood being severely injured by Li Changsheng, things might not have come to this. By provoking such an enemy, it was very likely that it would bring a calamity to the Profound Light sect. Chapter 849. Spiritual Master Hua Su stared at Li Changsheng in shock. He no longer had his previous calmness. "I'll fight you to the death." There was a rumbling sound in his body as he burned his potential to activate the secret technique. Rumble. The powerful attack drowned Li Changsheng like an ocean. A late stage of the Earth Immortal Stage, Cultivator's desperate attack, was extremely terrifying. If he wasn't forced into a desperate situation, he definitely wouldn't use such a move. This was a very powerful secret technique that allowed the Void Transformation Stage Cultivator's combat strength to soar continuously, almost reaching the peak of the Earth Immortal Stage. At the same time, his skin was visibly aging. Under this powerful force, Li Changxing's body kept shaking and he began to retreat. The peak of the Earth Immortal Stage, this kind of combat strength, was too terrifying. Li Changxing was only at the Finger Profound stage after all. There was a big gap between them, and a sense of powerlessness rose in his heart. Bang! Indestructible Fiend God Body was activated. Li Changxing decisively used his strongest combat strength. A Fiend God Phantom appeared behind him, roaring. He punched out, and his body soared into the sky. There was a sound like a surging river from his body, and a stream of blood and chi pierced through the sky, shattering the void. Bang, 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 bang. Li Changxing punched out more than 10 times in the blink of an eye, and each punch was superimposed on the previous one. The power of more than 10 punches superimposed on each other and finally broke the energy. His clothes were torn, revealing his bronze skin. One could see the red color on his skin constantly flowing. That was the power of a powerful aura circulating. Spiritual Master Hua Su was going all out. All kinds of divine abilities were used under the support of a secret technique, wanting to break the sky. However, any power that got close to Li Changxing was broken apart by his powerful physical strength. One punch to break 10,000 techniques. At this moment, Li Changxing seemed to have transformed into an ancient fiend god. He was invincible. A punch was a vacuum of 10,000 miles. A palm strike was enough to make the sky collapse and the earth sink. His blood and chi were everywhere, and his entire body seemed to have turned into a huge furnace. This was definitely a terrifying battle. Li Changsheng used all the divine abilities he had learned in his life with the power of his physical body. Bang, 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 bang. More than 30 punches were stacked on top of each other, and each punch was capable of piercing through the void. In the beginning, Taoist Master Void Transformation was still able to gain the upper hand, but later on, under Li Changsheng's fist, his body began to crack. Everyone who witnessed the battle felt a chill in their hearts, especially the nobles who were in charge of welcoming the cultivators. Their eyelids twitched violently. The general who had underestimated Li Changsheng at the beginning was scared out of his wits. He had actually neglected such an expert. If he angered the other party, wouldn't he be crushed to death with a single finger? Hula. Spiritual Master Hua Su raised his hand and condensed a sword beam, transforming into a river of sword chi that smashed down. At the same time, Divine Lord Azure Wood and the two Grand Elders joined the battle. They burned their lifeblood, causing their combat strength to soar. To be able to force 4 Earth Celestial Stage powerhouses to fight with their lives on the line. The place where the battle took place had already turned into primal chaos vital energy. Good timing. Li Changsheng fought to the point of madness. He felt carefree, but at the same time, he did not dare to relax in the slightest. Even he had to be careful when dealing with the 4 Earth Immortals who were burning their lifespans. At that moment, a small golden sword suddenly slashed at one of the Grand Elders. This was one of Li Changsheng's trump cards. His mental attack was invisible. The small golden sword flew out. At first, the other party did not take it seriously and raised his hand to form a palm print to block it. He did not expect the small golden sword to penetrate his palm and pierce between his eyebrows. Save me. The Grand Elder's expression changed drastically, but unfortunately, it was too late. The small sword pierced between his eyebrows, and his body fell from the sky, completely losing his life force. Spiritual Master Void Transformation and the other two exclaimed. They did not expect Li Changsheng to kill one of their companions so easily. In the next second, the small golden sword condensed again and slashed at another Grand Elder. The other party did not dare take it head-on. He quickly retreated, but how could he compare to the speed of the small golden sword? Spiritual Master Void Transformation transformed into a sword beam to help him block it. However, in the next second, Li Changsheng's blood and chi burned as he charged at Divine Lord Azure Wood. It was a diversion. He knew that the small golden sword's sneak attack had succeeded. Next, the other party would be vigilant, and it would be difficult for him to succeed. Therefore, he lured Spiritual Master Void Transformation away and killed Divine Lord Azure Wood alone. Divine Lord Azure Wood's face immediately revealed fear. He wanted to escape, but Li Changsheng's spear pierced through his chest. Although he did not die, he was severely injured and his combat strength fell to the bottom. Spiritual Master Void Transformation and the other Grand Elder charged forward. At that moment, they had pushed their secret technique to the maximum. One could see that wrinkles had appeared on Spiritual Master Void Transformation's face. He had already used his origin. After this battle, his realm would probably fall. In order to kill Li Changsheng, they had begun to use unscrupulous means. Spiritual Master Void Transformation's hand transformed into a sword beam, while the Grand Elder condensed a silver needle. Even the heavily injured Divine Lord Azure Wood charged at Li Changsheng without caring about anything. They had all turned crazy. Come at me. Li Changsheng pushed his physical strength to the limit. A loud roar could shatter mountains and rivers. His punch traversed thousands of miles and directly smashed the body of the weakest Divine Lord Azure Wood, causing it to split open. Disciple. Spiritual Master Void Transformation exclaimed as his eyes turned red. However, in the next second, Li Changsheng transformed into a god fiend and tore the Grand Elder apart from the middle. Following that, Li Changsheng continued to stack his punches. He punched out 50 times in one breath and finally shattered Spiritual Master Void Transformation's body. He fell from the sky and was beaten beyond recognition. Li Changsheng was invincible. He fought against 4 and killed 3 Earth Immortals in a row. Spiritual Master Void Transformation was also beaten to a miserable state, displaying his invincible stance. As the leader of an 8th grade sect, Spiritual Master Void Transformation had completely lost his combat strength. He stared at Li Changsheng with eyes full of resentment. Until now, he was still in disbelief. Who exactly is your master? Even the top geniuses of the 3 Holy Lands didn't have such combat strength. He was puzzled. I said that I don't have a master in this world. Moreover, I'm not from this world. Naturally, you haven't heard of me. Li Changsheng said in a voice that only the 2 of them could hear. You're not from this world? Spiritual Master Void Transformation's eyes were first filled with doubt and confusion, but then they became surprised. Could it be that you're from the Xianwang world? A trial taker who stepped onto the ancient path of the stars. I didn't expect that after 10,000 years, there would be a new trial taker. No wonder, no wonder. Spiritual Master Void Transformation seemed to know a lot. The Xianwang world? What's going on? Originally, Li Changsheng was prepared to completely destroy him, but when he heard the other party's words, his raised palm stopped. He had a lot of doubts about Earth. His master had left, the depletion of spirit qi, the arrival of the age of chaos, and the ancient path of the stars. Although Li Changsheng had experienced countless years, he had just cultivated the 9 revolutions of the God Fiend. At that time, he was too weak and didn't know many secrets. You don't even know what's going on in the Xianwang world. It seems that the rumors are true. The cultivators of the Xianwang world have declined. However, the declining Xianwang world still produced a monster like you. It's really unfair. Chapter 850. What's going on? Tell me everything, otherwise, don't blame me for being merciless. Li Changsheng stared at Taoist Master Void Transformation. Do you think that I'm still afraid of your threats at this time? You've almost destroyed my Tao foundation. Even if I'm lucky enough to survive, who knows how much my cultivation will drop. It's better for me to die. You're indeed very powerful, but your profound yellow world isn't the only place that inherited ancient inheritances. One day, you'll meet someone stronger than you and end up like me. Taoist Master Void Transformation laughed crazily. It was filled with misery and malice. As one of the top existences in this world, he had fought so hard but ended up with nothing in the end. This kind of sorrow could only be understood by him. The profound yellow world is the birthplace of the 3,000 gods and devils. It's best at producing monsters. However, your fate will be the same as the 3,000 gods and devils. You'll become a stepping stone for the eternal great emperor. This is your profound yellow world's fate, your fate. With a final cry, Taoist Master Void Transformation's body exploded into a bloody mist and disappeared from the world. At the last moment, he chose to die with dignity. He wasn't willing to be humiliated by Li Changsheng. This was the fate of an expert. Li Changsheng felt sorrow for him, but he didn't sympathize with him. The winner takes all. If he lost to Taoist Master Void Transformation, his ending might be even more miserable. The path of cultivation had always been cruel. The weak didn't deserve sympathy. The battle ended with all 4 great Earth Immortals dead. Li Changsheng's battle made him famous. Countless cultivators below the city gate witnessed the entire process and remembered the name Li Changsheng. When Li Changsheng descended from the sky, many nobles from the great white ancient country surrounded him. The general who slighted Li Changsheng earlier even knelt on the ground and asked for forgiveness from Li Changsheng. Get up. Don't look down on others in the future. Li Changsheng waved his hand, too lazy to argue with him. Thank you, mister. The other party shed tears of gratitude. It was no different from having his life saved. Several nobles personally invited Li Changsheng into the city and invited Li Changsheng into the city lord's office. Chun Linger and Yuan Chushue were invited in together because of Li Changsheng. Baichuan did not follow Li Changsheng. He was a disciple of the Cloud Dynasty sect. Although Li Changsheng had taught him Tao techniques, his sense of belonging to the Cloud Dynasty sect was not something that could be changed in a short period of time. Inside the city lord's mansion, Li Changsheng was arranged to stay in an ancient palace. It was decorated magnificently. This was already the highest standard for receiving guests in the city lord's mansion. It was said that in the past, only the royal family of the Baihong country had the qualifications to stay here. It was clear that Li Changsheng was highly valued. At night, the nobles personally hosted a banquet to welcome the guests. There were more than 50 cultivators in total, and all of them were top-notch powerhouses. There were 8 Earth Immortals alone. Of course, these Earth Immortals were all in the early stage of the Earth Immortal stage. Most of them were old. There were also 2 young cultivators who were in stark contrast to the elders. Their chi and blood were powerful, and they were full of heroic spirit. Their bodies were full of powerful vitality, and their future achievements were obviously greater. The nobles treated them differently as well. When Li Changsheng appeared, the entire banquet fell into silence and made a path for him. Several nobles personally came to welcome him. He was like an angry Vajra descending into hell, causing the ghosts to bow their heads. Li Changsheng was arranged to sit in the most honorable position. Even the 2 young geniuses took the initiative to toast him. The other martial artists below the Earth Immortal stage did not even have the courage to speak to Li Changsheng. After the battle at the city gate, Li Changsheng had been listed as a taboo. No one dared to offend him. Chunlinger and Yuan Chuxue were both heavenly beauties. In addition, they had a good relationship with Li Changsheng, so they were also treated as honorable guests. The children of the nobles personally came to receive them. A princess from the imperial family even called them sisters. Yuan Chuxue was better. After all, as the daughter of a second-grade sect master, she had seen the world. However, Chunlinger was only the daughter of a small aristocratic family. In a border country, it could only be considered a medium-sized family. In front of the princess of an ancient country, who was 10 times more powerful than a border country, she would normally have to kneel and greet her. But now, she felt like she was in a dream. If my father was here and saw me calling the princess of an ancient country my sister, he would probably be scared out of his wits. Chunlinger thought and couldn't help but look at Li Changsheng, who was like the moon surrounded by stars. All of this was because of this man. Yuan Chuxue was also looking at Li Changsheng. From the first time she met Li Changsheng, to when he took her to flatten the ancient devil sect, to when Li Changsheng killed 4 Earth Immortals and became a supreme expert, she felt that she had overestimated Li Changsheng's strength every time. In the end, she found that she had underestimated Li Changsheng. Just how many secrets are hidden in your body? Why is it that in my eyes, you're always a mystery? I can't see through you or understand you. Yuan Chuxue muttered to herself. After the banquet, Li Changsheng returned to the ancient palace. Yuan Chuxue and Chunlinger stayed in the 2 rooms on the right. At night, the 3 of them sat in the hall. Because they didn't eat their fill at the banquet, Li Changsheng had the people from the city lord's mansion send some food over. Suddenly, something strange happened. A cold light attacked Li Changsheng's neck, causing Yuan Chuxue and Chunlinger to cry out in alarm. Li Changsheng only sneered and punched out, sending a figure flying out of the ancient palace. That night, Li Changsheng suffered a total of 7 attacks. The next day, more than 10 corpses were neatly lined up 10 meters outside the ancient palace. The people from the city lord's mansion came, and several nobles also came to inquire about the situation. They found that 5 of the corpses were the young experts who had attended the banquet that day, and the others were the geniuses from various sects above the 6th rank. Li Changsheng had become famous after killing 4 Earth celestial stage cultivators. Similarly, if anyone could kill Li Changsheng, no matter what method he used, he would be famous all over the world. These people wanted to be famous, but in the end, they lost their lives. The nobles asked Li Changsheng what to do with the corpses. The nobles meant to return the corpses to the sections. After all, it was these geniuses who had their own way, not the sects. Returning the corpses would be giving them face and wouldn't offend them. However, Li Changsheng directly activated the fire of the netherworld and burned the corpses into ashes, scattering them between heaven and earth. It was tantamount to crushing the bones and scattering the ashes. He also said that if any sect's elders wanted to ask for an explanation for their disciples, they could come to find them. As a result, the 5 great sects came together that afternoon. However, they didn't come to denounce Li Changsheng, but to apologize to him. They also said that their disciple had brought this upon himself. This was Li Changsheng's current power. Except for the 3 holy lands, even those 8th-rank sects wouldn't dare to be his enemy. Chapter 851. The next day, Li Changsheng officially set off. After passing through the ancient city, he was already halfway to capital Sky Peak. On the way, he saw people from Cloud Dynasty sect again. They cast complicated looks at Li Changsheng. Chunlinger was still a disciple of Cloud Dynasty sect and had returned to their camp. Yuan Chuxue curled her lips in disdain. She was even more upset about Cloud Dynasty sect's behavior than Li Changsheng. Almost all the experts of the righteous sects will show up on this trip to capital Sky Peak. It's very likely that there will be Tao fusing true immortals. Yuan Chuxue said to Li Changsheng. Although she didn't say it explicitly, Li Changsheng knew that she wanted him to keep a low profile. It was also for Li Changsheng's sake. With Li Changsheng's combat strength, he had killed 4 Earth Immortals in a row and was still defeated by Reverend Hua Su after using his secret technique. Anyone would be proud of such a record. However, Divine Lord Greenwood was arrogant and domineering. He would die when he met Li Changsheng. Similarly, it was hard to guarantee that Li Changsheng wouldn't meet someone stronger than him. Li Changsheng smiled at Yuan Chushua's kindness. He naturally wouldn't be arrogant enough to challenge a Tao fusing true immortal. Of course, if they bullied him, he wouldn't hesitate to fight. Although he couldn't win, it wasn't that easy to kill Li Changsheng. Let's see how it goes. Li Changsheng finished. Yuan Chushue's eyes were filled with worry. She wanted to say something, but stopped. On the way to capital Sky Peak, there were many people traveling with them. There were people who had witnessed Li Changsheng's battle in front of the ancient city. Their gazes towards Li Changsheng were filled with reverence. However, there were also strangers who appeared. They were filled with disdain towards lone wolves like Li Changsheng and Yuan Chuxue. Of course, more of them felt that Li Changsheng wasn't worthy of traveling with a beauty like Yuan Chuxue. On another parallel road, the city lord of Great Yu and the king of the Sacred Mountain were walking side by side, followed by his elite subordinates and his personal guards. Other than Yu, king of the Sacred Mountain, Divine Lord Greenwood is the strongest among the younger generation heading to Sky Capital Peak. The Lord of Great Yu city sighed with emotion when he talked about the heroes of the Southern Domain. King of Sacred Mountain, who was standing next to him, could be said to be the #1 expert of the younger generation in Southern Domain. His combat strength was unparalleled. Although Greenwood Divine Emperor was amazing, he was far weaker than King of Sacred Mountain. This was also the reason why Great Yu's city lord agreed to help King of Sacred Mountain to make peace with the other major powers. With the King of the Sacred Mountain's potential, it was very likely that he would become a Tao fusing true immortal in the future. Sooner or later, he would establish a superpower, and when that time came, even the 3 sacred lands would not dare to force Great Yu's royal city to return it. Thus, he nodded his head and agreed to do them a favor. I heard that Divine Lord Green would set off in advance to find trouble with that brat. That brat killed my deputy general in Great Yu's royal city. I originally wanted to take his life myself, but with Divine Lord Greenwood doing it for me, it saves me a lot of trouble. The Sacred Mountain King said calmly. That brat. Great Yu's city lord chuckled. He's just a reckless guy. I'm afraid even his bones are gone by now. It's important for a man to know his own limits. If he doesn't even know his own limits, he's destined to not go far on this path. Both of them just casually mentioned it and continued on their journey. A few days later, A mountain peak that pierced the clouds appeared on the horizon. It was Tiandu Peak. It was also the first time Li Changsheng saw the mountain peak that was named after an entire planet. It was like a sharp sword, and its majesty could be felt from afar. It said that this peak is an immortal sword. A supreme expert suppressed an ancient fiend god and fixed it here, turning it into a mountain peak. Yuan Chushue explained to Li Changsheng. Then, she couldn't help but shake her head. That's just a legend. If such a tall mountain is just a sword, then what level would it be? Yes, if it's a sword, I'm afraid it would be a legendary Dao artifact. Li Changsheng was also a little emotional. Magic artifacts, spiritual artifacts, precious artifacts, Dao artifacts, Dao artifacts. Dao artifacts only existed in legends. Of course, above Dao artifacts, there was the illusory supreme artifact, known as absolute artifacts. Li Changsheng had lived for tens of thousands of years, but he had never even seen a Dao artifact. As for the legendary supreme artifacts, they were just legends. Whether they existed in the world was unknown. Even though Tiandu Peak was already in sight, it still took Li Changsheng several days to reach the foot of the mountain. There were millions of people at the foot of the mountain, and all of them were cultivators. Li Changsheng was shocked. With such a large number of people, it would be unreasonable if there were no Dao fusing perfected immortals. In the beginning, there were always people who recognized Li Changsheng, but when they reached the foot of Tiandu Peak, Li Changsheng completely disappeared from the crowd. Suddenly, thunderclouds gathered in the sky as if there were gods beating drums. A terrifying aura spread out. Countless people looked up at the sky with surprise. Is this the legendary Earth Immortal Tribulation? What a terrifying power! Someone exclaimed as he looked at the strange phenomenon. Although there were many Earth Immortals in this world, they were still the most powerful ones. Breaking through to the Earth Immortal realm in front of millions of cultivators would be recorded in the history books. Who is going to undergo the tribulation at this time? There was a lot of discussion in the crowd. Yuan Chushue stared at Li Changsheng in surprise. She was the closest to Li Changsheng, so she naturally noticed the strange feeling in Li Changsheng's body. Li Changsheng also smiled bitterly. He did not expect the heavenly tribulation to come at this time. It was a pleasant surprise, but he did not choose to undergo the tribulation at this time. Instead, he suppressed the impulse in his body with his powerful mind power. Undergoing the tribulation at this time would attract too much attention. Moreover, he had a premonition that it might be the best choice to undergo the tribulation at the top of Tiandu Peak. Therefore, the heavenly thunder that was about to strike at any time gradually dissipated and the sky became clear again. What is going on? Why did the thunder tribulation disappear? The person undergoing the tribulation suppressed the impulse with his powerful strength. This person is amazing. To be able to forcefully postpone the tribulation, he must have strong willpower and a terrifying cultivation level. According to all the records, such people are all geniuses and peerless heroes. Many people were trying to find out who had triggered the heavenly tribulation and forcefully postponed it. Unfortunately, except for Yuan Chushue, who was the closest to Li Changsheng, no one else could find any clues. Changsheng, you suppressed the thunder tribulation? Yuan Chushue asked in a low voice. She also found it incredible. Li Changsheng nodded slightly. Looking at Tiandu Peak, which was so high that he could not see its height, the call in his heart became stronger and stronger. At the same time, a kind of heroic spirit arose spontaneously. When he stood on Tiandu Peak and entered the Earth Immortal realm, so what if he was a Dao reunion genuine immortal? In the past, he felt that his master had taught him the 9 celestial demons. He had constantly failed to undergo the tribulation and formed an inescapable samsara. He had a lot of complaints, but now he finally understood that his master had given him a big opportunity. If he had not repeated the cultivation of his 99 lives, how could he have such a powerful cultivation level? If he had stepped on the ancient road of the stars earlier, he would have died when he met Divine Emperor Greenwood. Chapter 852. Many experts gathered on Sky Capital Peak. Soon, some young geniuses appeared and caused a stir. Saint Yi Chun is here. He is the chief disciple of the Starlight sect and is known as the #1 genius of the North region. That is Zhuo Jianhao, the disciple of the #1 rogue cultivator of the West region. Why are Yi Fei Guang and Shangguan Shui together? Yi Fei Guang is a famous genius of the East, and Shangguan Shui is known as the #1 beauty of the East. Is there some secret relationship between them? A woman in white, with a devastatingly beautiful appearance, stood there. Her pure white boots were untainted by even a speck of dust. She was like a fairy that had descended to the mortal world. Beside her was Yi Fei Guang, the genius of the East. He was also in white and had a handsome face. Walking together with Shangguan Shui, they looked like an immortal couple. The East region is hundreds of thousands of miles away from the South region, but I have heard of Shangguan Shui's name. Yuan Chuxuan murmured to herself. Both of their names had the word Shui in their names, but compared to Shangguan Shui, she was a young lady of a second-grade sect. They were worlds apart. Don't worry. One day, your achievements may not be worse than hers, Li Changsheng said with a smile. Originally, Yuan Chushua's talent was not as good as Chun Ling'er's, so it was impossible for her to be compared to Shangguan Shui. But she met Li Changsheng. Li Changsheng could even turn a yellow ox with an ordinary bloodline into a demonic beast body. As long as there was enough opportunity, a mortal body would not be worse than a connate spirit body. Be compared to Shangguan Shui? Huh. Young people really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. A discordant voice rang out beside his ear. It was an old man wearing a Taoist robe. He was rather thin, and he stood there with a hint of sage-like demeanor. However, the words he spoke were not pleasant to the ears. Yuan Chuxua thought it was Li Changsheng's comforting words, but now it was overheard by others. She was embarrassed and lowered her head. Yes, how can I be compared to Shangguan Shui? Why can't you? Li Changsheng interrupted her and looked at the old man. Why are you interrupting my conversation with my friend? How would a frog at the bottom of a well like you know that humans can conquer the heavens? Even a mortal body can stand shoulder to shoulder with a spirit body. Li Changsheng's voice carried a hint of awe, causing the old man to not dare to look straight at him, and a look of surprise appeared on his face. However, after carefully sizing up Li Changsheng, he found that Li Changsheng's cultivation was average. He couldn't help but sneer. I was wondering which 8th-grade sex genius dared to speak such arrogant words. It turns out that you're just a reckless clown. With your talent, you dare to say that a mortal body is comparable to a spirit body? Dream on. The old man's words were very harsh. Li Changsheng curled his lips in disdain and thought to himself, so what if he's a genius from an 8th-rank sect? Divine Lord Azurewood was known as an existence second only to Sacred Mountain King in the southern region, but he was still killed by me. In addition to Taoist Master Hua Su and the 2 Grand Elders, Li Changsheng had basically crippled an 8th-rank sect. So what if it's an 8th-rank sect? What, you're not convinced? When the Taoist priest saw Li Changsheng's expression, he immediately became excited. Young man, it's not that this old man wants to criticize you, but look at the various geniuses who came today. Yi Chun from the northern region, Zhuo Jianhao from the western region, Yi Fei Guang from the eastern region, and Shangguan Shui from the eastern region. Which one of them doesn't have a supreme grade spirit root? And look at you, your cultivation is ordinary. Humans, it's better to know your own strength. The Taoist priest chattered on, but Li Changsheng grabbed Yuan Chushua's hand and walked forward. He couldn't be bothered to argue with him. Hey, young man, if you don't listen to an old man, you'll suffer. The old man watched Li Changsheng leave and shouted from afar. At that moment, the originally noisy foot of the mountain suddenly fell silent. In the distant sky, a carriage pulled by 9 strange beasts descended. On the carriage, a young man dressed in green robes was sitting. He looked like an emperor who was inspecting his territory. The carriage pulled by the 9 strange beasts descended from the sky and stopped on the mountain path. The azure-robed man walked down from the chariot and put it away. Soon, a few influential figures of the younger generation went up to him and formed a small circle. The surrounding people looked at the young man in green robes with respect. Young Emperor Xing, the saint of the purple cloud sacred ground, one of the 3 sacred grounds of the Tiandu starfield. Young Emperor Xing's strength is unfathomable. He's known as one of the 3 heroes of the central region. It's said that he broke through to the Earth Immortal stage a few years ago. After the battle between the good and evil, he'll take charge of the purple cloud sacred ground. Young Emperor Xing's combat strength is very strong. I'm afraid he'll shine in the battle between the good and evil. Young Emperor Xing walked forward, surrounded by the crowd. At that moment, he saw the meddlesome Taoist and put on a flattering expression. Saint Xing, we meet again. 3 years ago, at the Purple Emperor Pavilion. Do you still remember me? Young Emperor Xing frowned and looked at the Taoist. So it's you. After he finished speaking, he walked away without looking back, causing the Taoist priest to embarrass himself. When he passed by Li Changsheng, he couldn't help but take a few more glances at Yuan Chuxue, who was beside Li Changsheng. Although Yuan Chushua's talent was ordinary, her appearance was not inferior to Shangwan Shui's. This girl is not bad. It's a pity that she's stuck in cow dung. Young Emperor Xing shook his head. After glancing at Yuan Chuxue, he glanced at Li Changsheng and then looked away. As the saint of the purple cloud sacred ground, there were very few people who could catch his eye. Young Emperor Xing is very picky. It's an honor that he took a few more glances at that girl. It's a pity that she has a burden by her side. Otherwise, if the Saint Xing took a fancy to her, she might become his concubine and become a phoenix. The surrounding people were talking about it. Li Changxing frowned. It was amazing that young Emperor Xing had reached the Earth's celestial stage at such a young age. However, he only took a few glances at Yuan Chuxue, and it was an honor for her. The surrounding people's words made him uncomfortable. Miss, Saint Sun Xing looked at you a few times just now, which means he is interested in you. There aren't many people who can catch the eye of young Lord Xing. Saint Sun Xing and I are old acquaintances. Why don't I help you get to know him? The Taoist came over and looked at Yuan Chuxue excitedly. Yuan Chuxue shook her head hurriedly. No, I don't like him. Miss, what are you talking about? There are many people who want to marry the Saint Xing as his concubine. Even the fairies of the 8th rank sex are scrambling for him. Do you know what you're talking about? The Taoist kept trying to persuade Yuan Chuxue. It was obvious that he wanted to use Yuan Chuxue to build a relationship with young Emperor Xing. Get lost, Li Changsheng said coldly. There was some coldness in his eyes. If the Taoist priest had only annoyed him before, he was now disgusted by him. Chapter 853. Under Li Changxing's fierce glare, the Taoist priest couldn't help but shrink his neck and walk to the other side. It was only after a long while that he finally reacted. His eyes were filled with doubt as he thought to himself, I'm a Vajra realm martial expert. After all, I was actually frightened by the gaze of an ordinary-looking fellow. How strange. At this moment, a roar came from the sky again. A white figure flew over on a sword and arrived at the foot of the mountain in an instant. His appearance caused an uproar again. After the white figure landed, the long sword under his feet turned into a green light and was inserted into the scabbard on his back. As he stood there, he exuded an aura of sharpness. As he walked, the sound of a sword humming could be heard. His entire being was like an unsheathed treasured sword, revealing its sharpness. Anyone who saw him could feel his sharpness at first glance. He was Shang Yinjin, the successor disciple of the Tai Sword Sect. The Tai Sword Sect, the Purple Cloud Holy Land, and the Tianyuan Holy Land were known as the 3 Holy Lands of the Central Region. They were also the only 3 9th-rank sects in the Tiandu Star Zone. Shang Yinjin, young Emperor Xing of the Purple Cloud Holy Land, and Han Mu of the Tianyuan Holy Land were known as the 3 heroes of the Central Region. They were all in the Earth celestial realm. Brother Shang, you're so elegant. Young Emperor Xing looked over from afar. His voice was not loud, but it was heard clearly by everyone. So young Emperor Xing is one step ahead of me. If I steal his limelight, it will be a sin. Shang Yinjin replied calmly, but it was obvious that they were not on good terms. After Shang Yinjin appeared, a group of people gathered around him. The three holy land were the top in this world. Naturally, many sects were attached to them. Li Changsheng couldn't help but take a few more glances at Shang Yinjin. Under his gaze, he could see the green sword Qi shining brightly above Shang Yinjin's head. Li Changsheng said to himself, "The sword Qi is soaring to the sky. This person is not simple. He has an innate sword body. He can practice sword principle with half the effort." Even Yuan Chushua, who was next to him, had a strange look in her eyes. Young Emperor Xing had a domineering aura and was high and mighty, which made her unhappy. However, although Shang Yinjin showed off his ability, he was less aggressive than young Emperor Xing and more heroic. This was because Yuan Chushua had only heard of Shang Yinjin's legend a long time ago. Now that she saw him in person, she was like a fan on Earth who saw her favorite celebrity. "What? Do you like him?" Li Changsheng saw something different. Yuan Chushua nodded, then shook her head and said in a mosquito-like voice, "You won't be angry, right?" Li Changsheng couldn't help but smile when he heard that. Why would I be angry? As time went by, many famous talent from the Tiandu Star area showed up. Some came with their elders, and some came alone. The appearance of the Sacred Mountain King, Yang Jing, caused quite a stir as well. As the #1 genius of the southern region, Yang Jing's status was even more special. The other geniuses had the protection of their masters, but he had to rely on his own strength to restore his country. Many people admired his courage, strategy, and boldness. In addition to the geniuses, important figures from various sects also showed up. The battle between the good and evil had not officially started, so no one was allowed to go to Tiandu Peak. Most of the forces set up camp at the foot of the mountain. Isn't that Zhui Juanhao? He's my idol. And Yi Fei Guang. I've been following him for a long time. The focus of everyone's discussion was on the geniuses, and their voices were full of admiration. These geniuses stood at the pinnacle of this world at a young age. They were high and mighty, and were on a completely different level compared to the ordinary disciples of the sections. You're still alive? A cold voice was heard. Yang Jing, the Sacred Mountain King, appeared not far away. He stared coldly at Li Changsheng with surprise in his eyes. He had heard the Divine Emperor Green would have gone to stop Li Changsheng, so he was sure that Li Changsheng would definitely die. He didn't expect to see him here today. "I'll still be alive even if you die," Li Changsheng replied coldly. That day in Great Yu City, he killed the Sacred Mountain King's deputy general. He knew that the Sacred Mountain King had been observing from the city wall, but in the end, the Sacred Mountain King did not make a move. The battle between the good and evil is imminent. The three Holy Lands have ordered that private fights are not allowed. Otherwise, you would have died 80 times for what you just said. The Sacred Mountain King said coldly and walked toward Shang Yinjin. Someone like him had to make friends with someone. Naturally, it was a top geniuses like Shang Yinjin. Is that so? Li Changsheng curled his lips in disdain. He didn't care about the ban. If the Sacred Mountain King wanted to make a move, he would immediately teach him how to behave. After the Sacred Mountain King left, the people around Li Changsheng took the initiative to distance themselves from him. At the same time, some people secretly inquired about Li Changsheng's identity. He was bold enough to provoke the Sacred Mountain King, Yang Jing. However, there were too few people who knew Li Changsheng. They couldn't find any useful information. However, it was obvious that some people had begun to pay attention to Li Changsheng. At this moment, the crowd fell silent again. A golden palace descended from the sky and landed at the foot of the mountain. After the palace landed, Zhui Juanhao and the people around him hurriedly went up to greet it. It was his master, Taoist Miedu. This golden palace was a spatial artifact that Taoist Miedu had obtained in his early years. It was also a symbol of his status. Not long after Taoist Miedu's appearance, the leaders of the various sects appeared one after another. Every time an 8th grade sect leader appeared, it would immediately cause a commotion. Although ninth-grade sects were the top in this world, there were only 3 of them. 8th-grade sects were already very impressive. Li Changsheng stood there calmly as he watched the leaders of the 8th-level sects flatter him. He had thought that he might not be as invincible as he had been on Earth since he had stepped on the ancient path of the starry sky and arrived at a new place. But now, it seemed that this world was not a big deal. Look, Han Mu is here. The crowd, which had already been noisy, suddenly became excited and reached a peak. Han Mu, the sacred son of the Tianyuan sacred land, was the #1 expert among the younger generation in the central region. Although he had not competed with the other geniuses, it was rumored that he was the #1 expert among the younger generation. Li Changsheng turned his head and saw a figure in purple robes in the distant sky. It was as if he was taking a stroll in the sky. He didn't seem to have a powerful aura, but cultivators knew that it was not difficult to fly in the sky. However, every step he took in the air was as if he was stepping on the ground. This meant that his control of genuine qi had reached a terrifying level. Han Mu's temperament was just like his name. He gave people a feeling of being bathed in the spring breeze. He was gentle and elegant, and his every move had a unique temperament. He always had a smile on his face. As soon as he appeared, many female disciples cheered. Li Changsheng looked at Yuan Chuxue, who was next to him. Unexpectedly, Yuan Chuxue did not show an infatuated expression like the other female disciples. Seeming to understand the meaning in Li Changsheng's eyes, Yuan Chuxue blushed slightly. I like how Shang Yinjin shows off his abilities. He is too elegant. Of course, Han Mu is also an expert that I admire very much. He is the #1 expert among the younger generation. Some people say that he is very likely to be the first young expert to break through to the true immortal realm in hundreds of years. Chapter 854. Purple Qi from the East. Han Mu, dressed in purple, walked over step by step from the east and slowly landed at the foot of the mountain. His appearance was not very special, but even if he did not speak, he still made people feel comfortable. When he appeared, even the headmasters of several 8th-grade sects saluted him from afar. It was not only because he was the sacred son of the Tianyuan sacred land, but also because they recognized his strength. In the next few days, all the major forces set up camp at the foot of the mountain. There were more than 1 million experts arriving. There was an endless crowd as far as the eye could see. There were only a few top experts in the Tiandu Star Zone, but there were too many middle and low-level cultivators. It was as if all of them were cultivators. Rumble! A large ship broke through the sea of clouds and made a loud noise. The violent primordial qi fluctuation attracted everyone's attention. Countless people looked up and saw a large sail fluttering in the sea of clouds. The black words Tianyuan were particularly eye-catching. On the bow of the large ship, a plain-colored figure stood proudly. Many people recognized him. He was the sacred master of the Tianyuan sacred land, Jinren Fuding. When Jinren Fuding appeared, Han Mu immediately went to greet him. After the large ship appeared, it did not land. Instead, it stopped in the air. A few minutes later, a giant sword and a cloud-shaped ritual implement appeared. It was the people of the Tai Sword sect and the Purple Cloud sacred land. The appearance of the 3 sacred lands at the same time meant that the battle between the good and evil was about to begin. Many people seemed to feel something and looked in the direction opposite Tiandu Peak. There seemed to be dark clouds in the sky. Obviously, on the other side, the people of the demon sect were also gathering. This battle will be the largest battle between the righteous and evil in the past 10,000 years. 6,000 years ago, our ancestors defeated the demon sect, and the righteous path ruled the world. If the demon sect wants to use this battle to regain their power, we will absolutely not allow it. On the other side, the demon sect has set up a great battle. There are a total of 810 layers. Each layer is guarded by a demon sect expert. What we need to do is to break all the arrays on the 810 layers and completely defeat the demon sect. Now, who is willing to go and break the formation? Stand up and receive the battle talisman. I will set up the God of War list here to record the number of people killed in this battle. Every time you kill someone, drip your blood on the battle talisman, and it will be recorded on the God of War list. After this battle, rewards will be given according to the number of enemies killed and the number of stages cleared. The person at the top of the list will receive the title of Supreme God of War and enjoy the benefits of the 10 great ancient countries. As soon as the Sky Yuan's sacred lord finished speaking, the crowd below started to boil. One had to know that the 3 great holy lands were only worshipped by a dozen or so ancient countries. This was equivalent to creating another holy land. However, after the excitement, many people began to ponder. This time, the 3 holy lands would naturally participate as well. When the time came, the first place would still belong to the 3 holy lands. However, the rewards after that would be equally plentiful. Next, those who are willing to participate, please come out to receive the battle talisman and record your name in the book. This battle is not something that can be completed overnight, so it will be divided into 3 groups. This will be the first group. As soon as Fu Tong finished speaking, someone stood out to receive the battle talisman. Most of the people who stood out were the younger generation and the sect masters of some small sections. The sect masters of the grade 8 sects were all calm. It seemed that they had reached a consensus before this. The younger generation would break the array in the first round, while the experts of the older generation would be responsible for dealing with the super experts of the demon sect at the back. Soldiers against soldiers, generals against generals. Let me do it. Yi Chun from the Starlight sect, Yi Fei Guang from the Central region, and Shangwan Shui all stood out. Immediately after, Xing Xiao Wang from the Purple Cloud's Sacred Ground, Shang Yinjin from the Tai Sword sect, and Han Mu also began to join the battle. Yuan Chuxue hesitated for a moment before standing out as well. Chuxue, it's very dangerous inside. Are you sure you want to participate? Li Changsheng looked at Yuan Chuxue and reminded her. The battle between the good and evil is the duty and responsibility of every orthodox disciple. Moreover, I've heard from my father that the demon sect has set up 810 layers of arrays. The guardians of the first few stages are relatively weak. The further you go, the more difficult it will be. I'm just at the periphery to train myself. Okay, Li Changsheng nodded. What about you, Changsheng? I'll go in and take a look too. Li Changsheng and Yuan Chuxue went to collect the battle talisman and stood in the preparation area. The demon sect is very cunning. Everyone, please be careful. I'll be here to keep an eye on the news of you killing the enemies. Sacred Lord Fu Tong waved his hand, and his subordinates immediately served drinks. Let's finish the wine in our hands. Consider this as a farewell for all of you. Everyone picked up their big bowls and finished the wine in one gulp. Then, they smashed the bowls on the ground, causing a series of clattering sounds. Okay, the farewell wine has been drunk. Let's set off now. At the command, everyone who had collected the battle talisman followed the mountain path and stepped onto the sky capital peak. Xing Xiao Wang and the others even leaped up from the ground and reached the peak in an instant like a big bird. A few minutes later, the names on the God of War list started to flicker. There were already people who had stepped into the demon sect camp and started to kill the enemies. Li Changsheng followed the crowd and started to step onto the sky capital peak. The battle between the righteous and the evil in this world actually had nothing to do with him. He just wanted to see it for himself. The moment he stepped onto the sky capital peak, he looked down and saw an endless sea of clouds. Something under his feet was getting stronger and stronger. Many figures jumped down from the sky and entered the sea of clouds. Occasionally, through the gaps, he could see that there were many members of the demon sect below. Their killing intent was soaring. Changsheng, I'm going down too. Yuan Chuxue greeted Li Changsheng and stepped out. Then, she fell into the sea of clouds and was drowned by the crowd. The battlefield of the cultivators was even more magnificent than the war between 2 armies in ancient times. Waves of energy and sword radiance were everywhere. The dark clouds in the sky started to roll like the sea in a storm. Friend, why are you in a daze? Hurry up and go down. The battle between the righteous and the evil is also a good opportunity for a man to make a contribution, a young man said to Li Changsheng smugly. However, in the next second, the sound of something breaking through the air was heard. An arrow pierced through the sea of clouds and penetrated the young man's throat. Even at the moment of his death, the young man still had a longing look on his face. Whoosh! Another flying arrow locked onto Li Changsheng. However, when it approached, Li Changsheng grabbed the arrow shaft and threw it on the ground casually. It seems that there must be a divine archer in the demon sect camp. Otherwise, how could an ordinary person shoot an arrow so far on Tiandu Peak? I like to see what's so great about the 810-layer array of the demon sect. Finally, Li Changsheng took a step forward and flew down from the top of Tiandu Peak like a big bird. The whistling sound of the wind rang in his ears. Soon he passed through the sea of clouds and saw endless figures under his feet. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. More than 10 flying arrows locked onto Li Changsheng. However, when they were within 10 meters of Li Changsheng, they were instantly shattered into pieces. Li Changsheng landed on the ground, but before he could even stabilize himself, several cold glints of light flew towards him. This was a chaotic battle between millions of people. The only difference between the righteous and evil was that every disciple of the righteous path had a battle talisman on their waist, while the demon sect disciples had a skull hanging on their necks. Kill! The battle cries shook the sky. The eyes of the demon sect disciples were filled with crazy killing intent. They looked at Li Changsheng with hatred. It seemed that the grudge between the righteous and evil had already penetrated deep into their bones. Li Changsheng wandered in the crowd with the mentality of a bystander. All the swords that slashed at him were easily broken by him. No enemy could get close to him within 10 meters. He was invulnerable. Chapter 855. On the other side of Tiandu Peak, the golden list was hanging high. Tens of thousands of names were flashing on it. Similarly, some names were dimming, indicating that they had died. The first name was Shang Yinjin from Tai Sword Sect. He had killed 2,000 enemies and was located in the first layer. He was followed by Han Mu from Tianyuan Sacred Ground and Xing Xiaowang from Purple Cloud Sacred Ground. The name Li Zhangshan was on the list. Everyone was in the first layer of the array. Li Changsheng was the only one who had not been killed. I didn't expect this guy to enter the battlefield. The Lord of Great Yu City noticed Li Changsheng's name. In fact, he was not the only one. Apart from the top 30 geniuses, Li Changsheng was the most eye-catching. This guy has been here for 10 minutes, but he hasn't killed anyone. It seems that he is not strong enough. He will be killed soon. Someone predicted. The Lord of Great Yu City did not say anything, but he did not agree. He had seen Li Changsheng kill the king of Sacred Mountain's deputy with his own eyes. There were no experts in the outer layer of the array. If Li Changsheng had stayed in the first layer, no one should have been able to hurt him. However, the Lord of Great Yu City was also puzzled. Since he had chosen to join the battle, he did not dare to attract attention. It was shameful that he had not killed anyone. The first name, Shang Yinjin, killed 5,000 people in the second layer. The second name, Han Mu, killed 4,000 people in the first layer. The third name, Xing Xiaowang, killed 4,000 people in the first layer. On the list, Shang Yinjin's column flickered. He was the first to break into the second layer, which caused exclamations. Shang Yinjin is so powerful. No wonder he is the sword cultivator with the best killing power. He beat Han Mu and Xing Xiaowang and was the first to break into the second layer. Han Mu and Xing Xiaowang are not bad either. They have killed more than 4,000 people. It seems that the top of the God of War list of the younger generation will be one of them. The last one hasn't moved yet. What's going on? Could it be that after entering the first layer, they found a secluded corner to hide? Otherwise, how could they not have killed a single person? Which sect is this Li Changsheng from? What a disgrace to the sect. The crowd began to discuss among themselves. In the sky, the three holy lords were also paying attention to the changes on the rankings board. Among them, The sacred lord of the Tianyuan sacred land, Fu Teng, also saw the last name. Which sect are they from? What a waste of my talisman. Half an hour later, Shan Yinjin reached the 10th floor, followed by Han Mu and Xing Xiaowang. More and more names dimmed on the list, but at the same time, the battle records of some geniuses became more and more dazzling. Shangguan Shui, the #1 beauty from the East, had killed a total of 20,000 people. This Shangguan Shui is really something. He's already made it to the 9th level. His ranking is even higher than Yi Feiguang's, the #1 prodigy of the East. Yi Chun, the sacred son of the Starlight sect, is also very strong. Although he's still in the 8th district, the number of people he's killed is already higher than Shangguan Shui's. He's definitely a killing god. This time, the battle between good and evil will be like a huge wave. A group of geniuses will definitely rise. Sure enough, disaster and opportunity coexist. Unlike the bustling crowd below, the sect masters of the other sects were more calm. They all looked at the list in the sky, and no one knew what they were thinking. The last one hasn't moved yet. He's still in the 1st layer. It seems that he's really a coward. While paying attention to the top 10 on the list, there were always people who inadvertently glanced at the last name. 98,000, Li Changsheng. 1st layer, 0 kills. The 0 was particularly eye-catching. At this moment, on the battlefield, Li Changsheng stood with his hands behind his back. He casually picked up some broken magic tools that had fallen on the ground. Although the magic tools were destroyed, some of the magic tools materials were not bad. If they were extracted, they would be of great use. At the same time, he also picked up a lot of Chinquan bags. Both sides were in a frenzy. They were focused on killing the enemy. Few people cared about picking up the spoils of war. Moreover, if they were slightly distracted, they might be killed by the enemy. On the other hand, Li Changsheng was strolling leisurely, as if he was on vacation. On a formation platform in the distance, a man in a red robe was quietly observing the battlefield. The demon sect had set up 810 layers of formations. A total of 980 commanders were responsible for the operation of each layer of formations. Most of these commanders were powerful, but they wouldn't easily participate in the battle. This was because once the commander died, the formation would be damaged. The people from the 3 holy lands are indeed powerful. If it weren't for the heavy responsibility of maintaining the formation, I would really like to go down and fight with that young man. I want to see if his sword skills are better than mine. The red-robed man held a broadsword in his hand. A sharp aura was emitted from his body. Lord Balrog, there's no need to be anxious. According to the Demon Lord's plan, as long as we lure the younger generation of the righteous faction into the depths of the formation, we will surround and annihilate them. Once these people die, it doesn't matter even if our demon sect loses this battle. After 100 years, the righteous faction will have no successor. The poor 3 holy lands have unknowingly fallen into the Demon Lord's trap. They want to let their young disciples gain experience and grow in the flames of war, but they don't know that they are ruining their own futures. Beside him, a young woman in tight clothes sneered. After such a long time, those righteous faction geniuses should have already entered the 2nd layer. If it weren't for the sake of making the show more realistic, wouldn't it be easier to just take them down? My poor demon sect disciples. After this battle, I'm afraid that corpses will be littered everywhere. The Balrog said coldly. They should have all broken through. I'll instruct the people in the 1st layer of formations to stop and recuperate. The black-robed woman was about to turn around. Wait a minute. The red-robed man said in surprise. There seems to be another person. What is that person doing? Looking for spoils of war? Damn it. Get everyone to focus their attacks on him. Destroy him for me. Yes. The woman in tight clothes picked up the flag and waved it continuously. Soon, a dense crowd of people surged towards Li Changsheng's location. However, just as those people approached, Li Changsheng took a step forward and quickly rushed out of the encirclement. No one could hurt him at all. The red-robed man who witnessed all of this had a look of surprise in his eyes. No wonder he dares to pick up spoils of war. It turns out that he has a powerful movement technique. Oomph. Since he is the only one left in the first layer, I'll go and meet him. After the red-robed man finished speaking, he flew down from the formation platform and sped towards Li Changxing's location. For Lord Balrog to personally take action, this kid's death is worth it. The woman in tight clothes stood on the formation platform and monitored the entire formation on behalf of the red-robed man. Chapter 856. Li Changshang broke through the encirclement of the demon sect members and suddenly sensed something. In the distance, a figure was like a raging fire, quickly pouncing on him. I didn't kill anyone and just took some spoils of war. Why do you have to force me to make a move? Li Changsheng shook his head helplessly. He had long seen that there was a commander in the formation and knew that someone had been secretly observing him. He originally thought that as long as he didn't kill anyone, he wouldn't be involved in the battle between the good and evil in Tiandu Planet. He didn't expect that in the end, he couldn't stay out of it. While sighing, the other party had already appeared in front of Li Changsheng, holding a red long sword. On the blade, there were flames burning. Kid, you're quite carefree. Relying on your powerful body movement, you actually came to the battlefield to fish in troubled waters. It just so happens that my sword has been thirsty for a long time, so I'll kill you as a sacrifice to my sword. Looking at the other party's confident look, Li Changsheng couldn't help but shake his head. Friend, I'm just picking up some spoils of war. I didn't kill anyone from the demon sect. Why do you have to be enemies with me? Get out of the way and we'll mind our own business. How about that? Although Li Changxing knew that there wasn't much hope, he still spoke. After all, he didn't have much to do with both parties. There was no enmity between them, so he didn't want to kill. Haha, you're dreaming. You want me to let you go? Dream on. Hearing the other party's words, Li Changxing's eyes suddenly turned cold. It seems that there's no room for negotiation. With that, he took a step forward and his body turned into an afterimage. Where do you think you're going? The Balrog shouted. He had already seen Li Changxing's body movement and thought that Li Changxing was going to take the opportunity to escape. Then, he was surprised to find that Li Changxing wasn't running away, but rushing in his direction, which surprised him a little. Kid, you've got guts. How dare you attack me? He sneered, raised the flaming sword in his hand, and slashed at Li Changxing. Whoosh! The flames rose in the wind, causing the surrounding air to sizzle. However, in the next second, there was a clanging sound as the flaming sword collided with Li Changxing's fist and bounced back. The red-robed man took 3 steps back, and his face was filled with shock. How can you be so strong? A sense of uneasiness rose in his heart, but before he could react, Li Changxing had already raised his fist and punched him again. Inferno heavens! The red-robed man shouted. A leaf-fire vermilion bird appeared above the sword and rushed towards Li Changxing. However, Li Changxing had no intention of blocking the terrifying leaf-fire vermilion bird. He allowed the leaf-fire vermilion bird to reach his body. In the next second, the leaf-fire vermilion bird disappeared without a trace. It was as if it had been absorbed by Li Changxing's body. What's going on? While the red-robed man was still in shock, Li Changxing's fist had already landed on his chest. Bang! There was a dull sound. His entire body disappeared from the spot and flew a few hundred meters away. Because his speed was too fast, no one could see his figure. After landing, he spat out a mouthful of blood and his eyes were filled with fear. He originally thought that Li Changxing was just a cowardly person who wanted to take advantage of the situation. He came to find trouble with Li Changxing because he wanted to vent his anger. Who would have thought that he would end up kicking an iron plate? From the beginning to the end, he did not have the upper hand at all. There's a path to heaven, but you don't want to take it. There's no door to hell, but you barged in. I just wanted to pick up the spoils of war. Since you're here to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Li Changxing raised his hand and a ball of flame appeared. When the flame appeared, the red-robed man's face was filled with disbelief. Netherworld's fire. You've refined the Netherworld's fire? The red-robed man had been practicing fire-based cultivation techniques, so he was very familiar with the attributes of various flames in the world. He recognized the netherworld's fire in Li Chongqing's hand at a glance. For someone who practices fire-based cultivation techniques to die under the netherworld's fire, you've died a worthy death. Li Chongqing did not hesitate at all. The flame in his hand instantly flew into the red-robed man's body. Then, the red-robed man's entire body was set ablaze. Accompanied by a miserable scream, he was burned into a pile of ashes. At this moment, the black-robed woman on the array platform widened her eyes completely. Impossible! How could Lord Flame Demon be killed? In her heart, the red-robed man's combat power was very strong. He was one of the top figures in the 10 great demon sects. How could he die just like that? However, her shock did not last for more than a few seconds. She heard a cold voice behind her. This should be the array platform. Miss, do you want to leave on your own, or do you want me to ask you to leave? The black-robed woman suddenly turned her head and saw Li Chongqing, who was a few thousand meters away, appear behind her. You've killed Lord Flame Demon. I'll fight it out with you. The tight-robed woman's eyes were filled with madness. The sword in her hand turned into a sword light and attacked Li Chongqing. Really, I don't want to kill you. Why do all of you have to send yourselves to death? Li Chongqing shook his head helplessly. Then, he pointed his finger and the tight-robed woman exploded. Her body split open and turned into a bloody mist that scattered on the array platform. Then, I'll just destroy the array platform along with it. After Li Chongqing finished speaking, he stepped into the air and left the array platform. However, a few seconds after he left, dense cracks appeared on the red array platform. Then, it collapsed in a cloud of dust. At the same time, on the other side of Sky Capital Peak, someone unintentionally noticed that the name in the last place had finally changed. 97,000, Li Chongqing. Kill count, 2, level 2. In the sky, the 3 sacred lords did not pay attention to the changes on the list. Instead, they suddenly looked at the opposite side of Sky Capital Peak. That's strange. There seems to be a problem with the Myriad Demon Array. Quick, take out the Mystic Heaven Mirror and see what's going on. Shun Yen, the sacred lord of the purple cloud, sacred ground, said. Fu Ting nodded and raised his hand. An ancient mirror shone in the sky. Then, a blurry figure appeared on the mirror. One of the levels of the array formation was destroyed during the Myriad Demon War. It should be the array platform that was destroyed. Every array platform has a commander guarding it. I wonder which sect's disciple killed the commander. Impressive. The commander is in the middle of the command and knows everything about the array formation. It's almost impossible to find him, let alone kill him. Furthermore, the array platform of the Myriad Demon War is constantly changing. It's almost impossible to destroy it. Quick, see who is in the first level. The 3 sacred lords looked at the God of War list at the same time. There seems to be only one person left in the first level. That person is Li Chongqing, who is ranked last. His name just changed to the second level. An elder at the side reported. After killing 2 people, one of the levels of the Myriad Demon War's array formation was destroyed. Could it be that this young man, named Li Chongqing, killed the commander of the array? He hasn't killed anyone yet. Is he secretly hiding and searching for the array platform? That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.